All right, welcome to the Heretic Channel. My name is Jenova.
And I'm Gene Skinner. Welcome, everyone.
Gene, tonight we're going to be talking about CHUD, uh,
But
and
the
and
chud.
and CHUD too, Bud the CHUD, which we watched earlier on your channel.
Yes, we
We
did.
watched the second one on your channel.
Oh my god, it's so bad.
There's oh, okay, we'll get to it. Let me do the news first, and
News reviews, Mr. Matt. Let's go.
yes, it's all terrible news
Oh,
basically,
whoops.
except for
I
one
forgot to.
thing. I think for most people, but we'll see here. Okay, so
Also
my first
ridiculous.
my first bit of news here is Blumhouse
Uh-huh.
and Oxygen Network, which is made for vaginas.
Yes, it is.
They're teaming up for a television show about Florida's craziest true crime
Oh,
killers.
you mean so you mean every time Florida has anybody do anything?
Yes, and the name of the show will be called Florida Man
Of course it will.
because they've got to monetize the meme.
Yeah.
Monetize the meme, everybody. So yes, Blumhouse, which seems like if you're going to team up with Oxygen, right?
Hmm.
That seems like that's a move you do when you're on the skids.
Yeah.
At least it seems like to me. Now
I
I
want
don't know.
No, I wonder how much or how well Blumhouse has been doing because they seem to like produce shit.
Yes, they're constantly producing shit. Every now and then they will have a big hit here or there,
Hmm.
but usually they're producing shit. I think A24, I think that's what they're called.
Hmm.
A24, who put out Hereditary and a couple other things. I think they might have put out The Void as well.
Hmm.
They tend to have better movies than Blumhouse, and like more consistently, they put out better films.
Yes.
So I don't know. I mean, I understand what Jason Blum's business model really is: put out low budget shit and rake in the cash,
Yeah.
because horror fans will eat everything.
They'll eat everything up, Jenova. How dare you question the
Uh,
fact that they wouldn't?
because I was just watching a video about a guy talking about Chucky, right? And the
Uh-huh.
name of the video is "What Happens If Chucky Fails."
Uh-huh.
And basically, in the video, he starts to say, "Well, you have to support these things, otherwise." You're never going to see Chucky on the big screen again. You're not going to do.
That
And
sounds
my whole
like
thing is,
that's like a cuck would say. I mean,
yes, exactly. Because my whole thing is just because you're a horror fan or a Chucky fan does not mean I have to support everything that they do with Chucky or with horror. You
mhm.
have to have some sort of standard, or if you cuck and you actually start supporting this trash, it's looking more and more like the new Chucky film is going to be trash.
Yeah.
If you support that, then they're going to give you more trash,
Yeah.
and they're going to do less and less work to try and appease you as the fans.
Just
And
look at the
stop
Marvel universe for
exactly,
starters.
and stop listening to them when they tell you it's going to be great and we're big fans of it, and we're going to be there suckering you out of your fucking money so
Yeah,
hard.
they really
Uh,
are.
which is no wonder that BitTorrent usage has gone up 22%.
Yeah.
So so yes, Blumhouse, Oxygen, teaming up for Florida Man. Uh, I don't know. Can Oxygen have the word "man" in the title?
Well,
This seems
that
so
sounds a
weird.
little passive aggressive there. I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't know what's going
talking
on
about
with
them men.
So on to my second bit of news here
Mm,
for fans of what we do in the shadows,
mm.
which has been running on FX this first season. It's based on the movie.
Well, too bad it's going to
Uh,
be owned by Disney soon, so I'm sure they'll fuck it up.
True, yeah. Uh, what we do in the shadows has been renewed for a second season. I have not watched the first season yet. I
Mm,
usually like to wait for seasons to end so I can binge them.
mm.
And I was a big fan of What We Do in the Shadows. I highly recommend that movie. But I have not watched the first season, so I don't know if the humor is good or if anything lands. Maybe it's fucking, maybe it's just another agenda pushing machine. Who knows?
Hard to say.
Yes, it's hard to say. But for anybody who's been watching it or anybody who's interested, there is a second season. And I think tonight is the finale for it. So for the first season. So
Oh, neat. So, do you want to mention that thing you showed me earlier, by the way, as part of the horror news, or not?
Which thing? What did I show
The
you?
Black Vortex thing about
Oh
Larry Cohen.
yeah. So yeah, I didn't write that down, but in May sometime I think they're doing.
It's
There's this.
I think it's this weekend actually.
Yeah. Um, there some. I think it's a theater
Yeah.
has started this thing called Blood Red Live.
Yep.
Right, red as in like you read a book.
Hmm.
So it's called Blood Red Live, and what they do is they take unpublished scripts or
Hmm.
screenplays from people, and then they read them. They read them like a real table reading, and
Yeah.
everybody plays their characters. And they're gonna have what's his name, Tom Holland or whatever, who did
Yeah,
Fright
it's
Night
Tom
and
Holland.
Child's Play.
Yeah, Tom Holland is going to be. He did those. He's going to be reading the part of Alfred Hitchcock.
Right, because they are doing The Man Who Loved Hitchcock movies, I
Yep.
think is the name of the
Well,
script.
that's the name of the script, and that script is by none other than Larry Cohen.
Right, exactly. And they are reading it in honor of Larry Cohen.
Yes.
It seems like they are going to be doing more of these as well. Uh,
Interesting. Shame it's in California.
it's a shame it's in California. I think you could do a podcast like that,
You probably could, yeah.
or you could do a stream like that if somebody got together. You could do that for Shudder.
Yeah.
You could do it in the theater in California, but film it for Shudder.
You know, I think the reason why they're doing that though is because, at least to me, that's probably where all the scripts or unused things are, like some California backlot or something.
Yeah, probably. And it's like, well,
Unlike
this
if it
one,
was Universal's, because that's not in California, that's in Florida.
it's true. Universal Studios is great though.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Black Vortex, I think it was called. I
Yeah.
think it's the Black Vortex Theater or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's the thing they're calling it. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I just
But
wanted to bring that
in
up
honor of
because
Larry Cohen, they'll be reading one of his unpublished scripts. So it sounds like it could be fun. I almost assume they'll record it and you'll be able to listen to it somehow.
somehow, I don't know what they're gonna give or who they're gonna give it to, but I'm sure you'll be able to.
It seems like such a waste to like
To just do it and
just
then not record it,
squander
yeah.
Yeah, to squander it on a bunch of fucking commies and not let other people enjoy it. But
Well, you know, all those people are either going to Juilliard or what.
yeah, of course, they're probably all coming from Berkeley. So like my next bit of news
All right.
is there is a new edition of Hail to the Chin coming out.
Okay.
It will be it's an updated version of Bruce Campbell's book Hail to the Chin: Further Confessions of a B-Movie Actor.
Yep.
It's called Requiem for Ash edition. And it's in reference to Campbell's Evil Dead retirement.
Yep.
And it comes out in September. And he's just adding new stories to it. New stories about Evil Dead, working on the set of Evil Dead, and stories from his book tour that I believe he did in Europe. So for everybody
actually, that seems kind of funny to me that Bruce would go all the way to Europe to do a Brook tour, and especially with being how shy he is and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, I watched an interview with him where he was in France for an Evil Dead interview. So,
interesting.
You know, I'm sure. You go where the money takes you, I guess.
By the way, Bruce, if you are listening to this, I would say don't go back to Europe again, because that's probably a mistake with how fucked it is right now. just a thumbs up if you don't want to end up like a deadite. Just saying.
Stay in Oregon or Michigan, wherever.
I think he's still he lives in Oregon, I believe.
Yeah, he lives in Oregon. Yeah, we talked about it on the Bruce show. He's out there growing his own pot.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people told me to read the books. They said they were really good. So I might pick up this new updated version so I can get like sort of the best of both worlds.
Yep.
And my last bit of news, which I almost I'm a fan of the Lost Boys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody else is a fan of the Lost Boys, but
it's okay. I mean,
I like the Lost Boys. It's not a perfect film.
It's not a perfect vampire movie either.
Right. Well, it's about to get less perfect.
Oh God, what now? Who's doing what to it?
There's a TV series coming.
Who's doing it?
CW.
Oh
is
God.
in it. So if you're ready for the Lost Boys to start sparkling and falling in love with teenagers that they're way too old for, and for it to be turned into a musical, get ready for the CW Lost Boys television series.
Mhm.
They're still working on it. There's no release date for it yet. But they have announced that CW has announced that they have basically acquired the rights and it's gone into production.
Oh God.
So it's coming. If you weren't already upset about them ruining the Flash, if you were an Archie fan and you're already not upset about Riverdale and what they did with that fucking show. I watched the first I watched the first 2 seasons of that show. Let me tell you, it's fucking trash. It's so bad. I just sat laughing. I just kept chuckling to myself. I was like, what is
Such
this?
a great comedy that
And
should.
you know who likes that show? Rabbit likes that show.
Oh, of course he does.
Rabbit keeps telling me you gotta watch Riverdale. I'm like, I've watched the first 2 seasons. I know how shit that show is. Stop already. So that is basically the news. CW is going to ruin another property.
Well, it won't be long before Disney ruins another one right after it.
Oh yeah, it's coming. Bruce has got an updated book coming out. What We Do in the Shadows renewed for a second season, and Blumhouse working with Vaginas to bring you Florida Man true crime.
All right. So now we get to the CHUD.
Yes, now we're on to CHUD. Now let me tell you, I watched CHUD twice today,
Yeah.
and I couldn't tell you what the fuck was going on in that movie. Now we're gonna try and go through it chronologically.
Well, I can tell you one big thing about CHUD that I learned from my good friend, Mr. Joe Bob Briggs, because I decided to subscribe to Shudder today so I could watch CHUD on there where he talks about it. So the whole reason there's a spike in, the 80s, pollution movies is because of
Right.
something that's actually close to where I live, and I forgot all about it. That is the Love Canal pollution dump. That
Oh
scandal
no.
that happened in the 70s, where it was found out that, oh yeah, this nice suburban neighborhood town that's in upstate New York, yeah, there's a
Mhm.
fucking dump that's been here since the 1940s and 50s. We hope that's okay for everybody, that you've been living in a fucking dump.
Is that 3 Mile Island?
No, it's
Okay,
not.
that's a completely different thing.
Yes,
You guys should do 3 Mile Island on Gallery of the Unknown one time.
we will probably. We're doing MK Ultra this week, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the whole thing, is that was found
Right.
out. It was a big cover up by the fucking company was called Hooker Chemical Hooker Chemical Company or something like that.
Why would I trust a prostitute?
Exactly. You trust a prostitute and you end up getting the STDs of the worst kind, the toxic
That
waste kind.
mutate you.
Yeah. So that was found out about that. The environmental the EPA was called in basically, and that's like a site they still maintain and try to fix.
Yeah,
There's a
they're
few in the
still trying to fix it.
Yeah, there's a few in the. I think it's not as bad now. They did like a 2008. That's like the farthest I could go back. It says 2008. They said it was still contaminated, but it's not as badly contaminated as it was in the 70s. So
As
they're
bad.
yeah, well, that's New York. What do you expect? So yeah,
I expect a shithole. You're right. I
yeah.
expect a shithole with New York.
And you know what's the
And
thing is that Hooker Chemical Company is not an upstate New York company. That was from the city. They came all the way up here to dump it. And then we're like, oh yeah, no one will ever fucking know. Put some houses on it. Yeah, good.
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, fuck the environment. I agree. Dump your chemical waste everywhere. Who gives a shit? Fuck the fish.
If you have to eat the fish.
Yeah, it's true. Maybe I'll get superpowers from it. It
Yeah.
happens all the time in comic books.
Oh yeah, but yeah, that's the big thing. That's what Joe Bob says is a big inspiration for a lot of those chemical horror movies, and corporations gone amok.
Yeah, well, it follows a big toxic waste trend in 1980s.
Yep.
You eventually get like the Toxic Avenger. And
Yep,
shit
that's what
like
he mentioned that too. He's like, that's the biggest like cap off point for Troma's whole thing, was that they basically ran with that, and that kind of started a bigger trend as well.
that. Right. So so CHUD does not open with chemicals though. It doesn't
No, it
open
does
with
not.
toxic. CHUD opens with a woman walking her dog in the middle of the street, by the way.
Yes.
It's
At
not
night.
really an alley, but it looks like one of those off roads that just leads to alleys anyway.
Yes.
In the middle of the night, and you can look around and you can tell New York is still suffering from the Death Wish era. It's just terrible looking. And she walks by a sewer. The sewer opens up, and she gets dragged into the sewer with her dog. Her
Yep.
poor dog.
Could just let the dog go, lady. Jeez.
Yeah, well, she did not. She was holding on for dear life. If I'm going down, Fluffy's going down with me. And that woman happens to be Daniel Stern's wife.
Yep. It wasn't
Uh,
at the time. They married like after CHUD. I think.
yeah, they married in 1980.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Maybe it is. Maybe she doesn't change her name just yet then, because this is 1984. I don't know.
Yeah, I think she still carries her last name with her.
Oh, maybe she did. That's funny though.
Yeah, and that's his wife, because Daniel Stern was so committed to the role that he even got his wife involved.
Yeah. I could talk a little bit about
Go
how
ahead.
this mill came together. Okay. So basically, fucking New York Shakespearean actors, because that's what most of these people are. Shakespeare in the Park kind of people, Greenwich Village, all this.
Could you imagine Marv doing Shakespeare?
That's what he did do. He did stuff like that.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, that's where a
But
lot of people came. They're
yeah,
classically trained.
yeah,
That was
I
the
know.
theater.
Yeah, I know. But here's the thing. So here, him and John Hurt are at a party, right? They're friends. They've been friends for a very long time, and they got their friend Adrian Bommy there. Andrew
Mhm.
Bommy. And basically a good time discussion of like, oh yeah, we've stand over the city for the longest time. Just think of what could all be down there and everything, what could be carved out and all this other stuff. And then like, oh yeah, what if we make a movie where there's monsters in it? Like there's monsters living under us this entire time.
The entire time,
Yes.
and that's how you got Chud.
Yes, because this idea they had at a party. Yeah, that's literally how it came about. They had a party. All three of them were sitting
Everybody's
down.
drunk, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's on drugs. They're drunk, and they're going, "Man, what if there were mutants in the sewer, dude?"
It wasn't even going to be mutants originally. It was just going to be about homeless people that lived under the ground and everything else. They're going to be cannibalistic people that basically devolved.
That might have been a better movie.
I know it may have been a better movie. I think it really would have been. But you see, the person they got to do the CHUD effects is the guy who did the same stuff for The Exorcist and I think a few other
Oh,
films.
okay.
Yes. But the only thing he ever did for this fucking thing before they fired him, or he left for some other project, I don't remember which one it was, is the hands and the head. That's it. That's all he did.
It makes sense because they barely show the Chud in the movie.
Yep, that is correct.
You get a couple scenes here or there, but for the most part, the Chud are shadowed in some way. You barely see them. Mainly, you see the glowing eyes that they have because they've got these big glowing gold
And their
eyes.
hands. Yeah.
Yeah, and their hands.
So that's why. That's why you barely see the Chuds throughout it too, because that's the only effects they had were those.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's the only monster effects they had. So here's the thing too. So Andrew Bonney, he basically goes to his studio and they're all talking about making this film, right?
Mhm.
They get the money for it. But the stipulation is, oh well, we need to bring all these people in who we
Right.
like and who are our friends and family.
Nepotism.
Yeah. So they get Douglas Creek to direct this, a guy this is like the only film he's ever directed in his fucking life.
I can see why.
Yeah, you got screenplay and there's two things. The screenplay and story are by like two people that do more drama stuff. So it's like Parnell Hall and Shepard Abbott.
Right.
These people don't really do any of this stuff. This is like the only horror movie they've ever done. Like any of these people, most of the time. And like the biggest thing too is like every single fucking actor in this movie is a fucking Shakespeare dude. They're like all these people that do this big drama films and everything else.
So what was the thinking then? We bring in drama actors to
No, it's literally just, oh, let's go for a LARP and make some money because we're gonna do a horror film.
Profitable and
Yes.
cheap, right?
Yes, that's exactly what it was with them.
Okay. I thought maybe there was some deeper.
No, it was the in between when they're waiting for this because they just came up with an idea being drunk and stoned and go like, oh yeah, we'll make this before we have our next big hit. By the way, the funniest thing I find in the whole thing is that how John Hurd he was an up and coming actor at this time, right?
Right.
And all he's known for, he never really broke out from that, even when he was in
No.
The Dad and Home Alone 2.
Yeah.
I mean, Home
Which
Alone.
is where everybody knows him from.
Yeah, and Marv too.
Yeah.
Even though they've been in other movies as well, some pretty interesting
Yeah,
ones.
sure.
But that's what the whole thing is with John Hurt, is he never left that mold of indie actor.
Yeah.
And that's the whole,
He
like,
will
he's not.
forever be Peter McAllister.
Yes.
Or whatever his fucking name is.
Yeah.
The only other thing I can't remember if he did it before or after this, but Daniel Stern is also in Leviathan.
Yes, he is.
Which is a great movie.
I'll say this for this movie, at least. I know we're kind of getting a little off topic of the fucking whole thing,
go on.
but I will say Daniel Stern is probably one of the best actors in this movie. Everybody else fucking sucks. Besides,
I agree,
a few
100%. Yeah. My favorite parts of the movie are Daniel Stern, because you can tell he's actually acting.
Mm-hmm.
He's really trying. He's chewing the scenery. Because nobody else is acting
until it gets to certain parts where they do overact. You're like, wow, so now you're acting. Okay,
yeah.
Who paid you? Who put the money in your pocket?
I would say Daniel Stern is my favorite part, and the crazy guy Val with the knife.
I'm curious.
He's always quoting the Bible.
Yeah, Val is played by Graham Buckle. That's the guy's name.
Has he done anything?
He's a character actor.
Okay, we've probably seen him.
Oh yeah, he was in The Paper Chase.
Okay.
He was in. I'm seeing if he's like anything else horror wise. He's just a character actor, so that's why he's really good at doing all this other stuff. He was in True Crime, Dark Blue. Man of God, I'm just looking at his list here. Atlas Shrugged. It looks like he's on a lot of drama pieces.
Atlas Shrugged. Get out of here with that trash.
Dragon War. Oh, he was in the Chinese animated fantasy romance film Dragon Warriors, Dragon's Nest. Okay.
Okay, so nothing. He's done nothing. Everybody knows him for.
But he's the paper. He's one of the Paper Chase guys.
Okay. Well,
that's how people know him.
I've seen the Paper Chase like once.
He was in LA Confidential as well.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. That's a good movie.
Oh, he was an astronaut farmer. Okay, sorry, I'm just looking at all this shit.
Astronaut farmer. I don't remember anything about that movie.
Good. It doesn't matter. Let's get back to CHUD.
Cindy says, I always liked Hurd as a dependable character actor.
I mean, kinda, but that's just the funny thing. He was supposed to be this big up-and-coming
John
actor.
Hurd
he's dead.
Oh,
yes,
wow.
he is dead.
All right.
He died in 2017.
Well, we don't have to worry about him making CHUD 3 then.
He wouldn't, but Daniel Stern...
Don't say he wouldn't, because...
No, he wouldn't.
He might.
He's too happy and dead with his off-Broadway... Because what he ended up dying with was, like, I think, near 40, right, awards, and these are the OPO awards. You know what that means? The OP awards?
No.
It means the off-Broadway Oscars.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying now.
Yes.
So he did a lot of off-Broadway.
Yes.
Daniel Stern also did some off-Broadway. He wrote a play and did an off-Broadway thing, and it was supposed to be pretty good.
So here's what I'm going to tell you, Jenova, and I don't know how you're going to take this news, all right?
All right, I'm ready. My fists are clenched.
Daniel Stern is thinking about making CHUD into a musical.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm excited.
This is recent news. Like, he's talked about this. Like, he wants to make CHUD into a musical.
Right. Well, I mean, the thing is, we were talking about these movies before we went live, and we were both like, man, I like CHUD, but what the fuck? These movies suck.
Yeah.
They're a mess.
They are.
Both of them are a mess. 100%. And they're these weird movies with these cult followings, especially the first CHUD.
Yeah, it does have a cult following. I can see why. There's a few things about it, but I don't know. It's not really that good of a film.
No, it's not. They're a mess. Okay. CHUD has 3 main characters.
Yes.
It's got John Hurd, Daniel Stern, and the guy who plays Detective Bosch.
That's Christopher Curry is the actor's name.
Right. And you follow them around. Like, we start, like, after the lady gets eaten,
which is for old Bosch. He's technically his Christopher's character
Yeah,
wife.
that's his wife in the movie, but
Yes.
it's really Daniel Stern's
Yes.
wife. Okay, so after they get eaten, we
Mhm.
get introduced to our first main character, which is John Hurd,
Which
and they're
his
getting
name is George Cooper.
right.
By
His
the
name
way.
is George Cooper. I'm going to
Mhm.
call him McAllister.
Go ahead.
So McAllister is a photographer,
Yep.
and he's a fashion photographer, but he just got into this thing where he's taking
Pictures of homeless people.
pictures of homeless people for an article that his friend Derek is writing.
Yes.
Who he keeps him on the he just keeps ignoring this fucking guy.
Yes, he does.
And this guy's like
I'm printing the article. I got a deadline, dude. Come on.
This guy's trying to depend on John. Which brings me to my first point about John Hurd's character. His character is so unprofessional in this movie.
Yes, he is.
Because we find out that his wife is a model, or his girlfriend is a model.
Yes.
And they're going to do a perfume ad.
Yes.
And he's going to take the pictures for it. One, he didn't know that he was doing that.
Yeah, he forgot. Like, what?
Yes, he forgets he's doing that. And then even when she tells him that he's doing it, he acts like she made this up on the spot.
Yeah.
Even though she's an aspiring model and this is supposed to be one of her big breaks sort of things. And then eventually we get to the part, because after we meet them, then we go to the police station where we meet Detective Bosch. But to keep on the unprofessional thing, when we get to the scene where he's photographing her,
he's acting like he's having an orgasm or something.
He keeps saying, "I love this profession. This is great. Oh my God, give me more."
Yeah, exactly.
And then he freaks the fuck out.
Yeah.
And he's telling her, he goes, "This is trash. Why are you doing this? This is shit. They know how shit this perfume is. That's why they know what takes to sell."
They said it smells like, he said like goat, like sheep piss.
Yeah, he goes complete anything. You would be fired.
Yeah, you'd be fired
if you do that because the people overhear him.
Yeah. They just rolling their eyes like, look at, holy shit, this guy's actually saying this.
He must be either the only photographer in New York,
which I doubt.
Which I 100% doubt, or he's like the cheapest photographer in New York, and like you don't have to pay him that much because they kind of live in a shitty apartment.
Yeah, they live in Soho.
Somebody because
it's really hard to tell where they're supposed to be living because the streets are basically not mentioned that much. You get like 3 streets mentioned, but it's Soho.
Right. Well, they mentioned Soho because when the one guy's like, you're gonna blow up because I'm not gonna blow. I'm just a little small part of Soho. I'm gonna blow up, but that's towards the end of the movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just when you're trying to like picture where this fucking place is, because it's really hard to tell. It's supposed to be New York City, but you can't tell where in New York City it's supposed
I think of most people who aren't familiar with New York, they're like, oh, New York, it must be down the block. Like everybody, everybody kind of sees there. You must be somewhere outside of Times Square. Like that's what everybody assumes,
Yeah.
So after we're introduced to John Hurd, then we go to the police station to meet our second main character, Detective Bosch, who
Captain Bosch, actually.
Yes, Captain Bosch, whose wife was killed in the beginning of the film.
Yep.
And
he doesn't act so depressed about that when he like tells people about how she's missing too. You ever notice that?
Yeah, he doesn't seem that that's a theme for everybody in this whole movie, right? Because if we skip later on down the line, there's the grandfather and the granddaughter, and they're in the phone booth because they get lost. And a CHUD comes out of the sewer, takes the grandfather, which is another underwhelming death. All the deaths are very underwhelming in this movie. But when they look at the kid is just standing there. Like nothing happened.
Yeah.
She's just in the corner. Now you can say, oh, she's traumatized. This is CHUD. I'm not looking for a deep sort of commentary or acting ability in any of this movie. But that's way down the line. So Bosch, he runs into a homeless lady who is what they call an undergrounder.
Yeah.
They're homeless people, but they don't live on the street. They live in the sewer system.
Yeah, which seems really retarded, but yeah, go ahead.
Right, exactly. and she tries to steal a gun from a police officer.
That's one of like stupidest ways to write anything ever, by the way. Like
Right.
who decided to write this? A guy who wrote this was supposed to be a detective or something, I thought. That Parhal was supposed to be, or they were like a detective in New York. Like, who would fucking do this? No homeless person goes up to a cop when a gun's already holstered and tries stealing it from him. Get out of here.
Yeah, first of all, you're lucky you didn't get shot.
Yeah.
Second of all, you're lucky you didn't get some of that famous New York police brutality, which she fucking deserves, by the way.
Yeah.
So she tries to take it, and they've got her locked up. And Bosch meets a side character known as Murphy,
Yes.
who is a journalist who's looking for tips on stories to write.
Yes.
And basically, Bosch tells him, like, I don't have anything for you. And he goes, well, see, that's wrong. Now I know something's going on because everybody's real busy around here. And he goes, if you guys were smart, you just give me a little bit of information and I wouldn't know any better. And he goes, okay, well, I'm about to question an elderly woman for petty theft, which is not petty theft, by the way. There's no way that's petty theft. She tried to steal a cop's gun.
Yes.
So they interview her. So they're interviewing her, and I can't remember how she's her whole character is very defiant.
What's actually funny is that woman, by the way, who actually plays her, was a model earlier on in life, like real life.
Really?
Yes.
She don't look like it now.
No, I mean she's older now.
You know, beauty fades.
Yes.
And of course, I mean, maybe she would look like it if she wasn't covered in dirt, the way they had the makeup and everything like that, because a lot of the characters are covered in dirt for a lot of the movie. Daniel Stern is never clean, and he's not even homeless.
No, he's not. He just helps the homeless.
Right. He's always got dirt on his face. There's a scene where he like rubs off some of the dirt with some water, and he's not clean at all.
No.
It's still everywhere.
Yeah.
So what happened? So then we cut to we're at the photo shoot that we were talking about where John
she calls him.
His fucking mind, right? She calls him to get him out, and he's checking his answering machine.
There's a thing before that too, Jenova, when basically he's at the when Bosch is at the precinct, he gets the call, and that's when he goes down and goes to see Daniel Stern's character.
Okay, does that come before or after?
That comes before, actually.
Okay, because I told you I watched this movie twice, and I can't remember the order of scenes in this movie. It's so weird because when we did Larry Cohen, we watched like 4 or 5 movies, and I could tell you just fine what happened in them. But this movie is such a fucking mess. Okay, so Bosch goes down to meet Daniel Stern before we get the photo shoot.
Yeah, no, it's after. Wait, let me see. I'm trying to remember
because they're at the thing. She gets the photo shoot. And he's got to come get her. So she calls him, and then I think we meet AJ.
Maybe it's hard. It's like it's so hard. because
Daniel Stern calls the cops to say, "Hey, a lot of my people are missing," and it's clear that him and Bosch have a history with each other.
Yes, they do.
Because it's apparent that Daniel Stern's character was some sort of con man or scam artist, and now he's a reverend of some sort.
That's what they just call him because he's helping the people.
Right, because he runs a soup kitchen, which looks like it's in a fucking cellar, by the way.
Yeah, it does.
It doesn't look healthy at all. I don't know what he's feeding them, but I think even a soup kitchen has to, keep up with health standards. Yeah.
It's also grungy looking. Everything in this movie looks very grungy.
Yeah, it's a weird, the color is everything is gray.
Yeah.
Everything's gray and dirty. The only color I can remember in this whole film is the homeless lady and John Hurd at one point both have red shirts on.
Yeah.
It's the only color I remember. Everything else is
That's when they're going through the sewer, actually, I believe.
Yeah, well, that's when so Daniel Stern starts talking to Bosch about how all the undergrounders are missing. They haven't been around in weeks.
Besides
Val, who Val is great because they go to talk to Val. Bosch goes to talk to Val.
He's quoting scripture.
He starts quoting scripture. He's obviously our harbinger. And Bosch is like, hey, wait a minute, man. And just as he reaches out to touch Val
Knife.
pulls out this knife and stabs the table with it.
Yep.
Another thing that I like that Val does in that scene is when Bosch leans over to him, Val puts his hand around his bread and pulls it in closer to him, like Bosch is going to steal his food. Val's one of the best characters in the whole damn movie.
Yes.
Old man, bedtime, Fagos, night NW. So then we get to so that's the whole thing, and this scene I think is cut into two, if I remember correctly, because eventually, oh yes, it is cut into two because Bosch has to come back. So then we go back to John Hurd and the homeless lady, and he goes down there with her, and he's
yeah, I
her,
gotta say this too. This was really funny. At least I found as well. When she gets he calls her, like he leaves a phone number there for her to call, and she says like, "Oh, thanks a lot for that asshole. I don't want to talk to a machine."
Oh yeah.
And then he goes
I
down.
I get one phone call, and when she's leaving the police station and they're giving her shit back and they wanted to sign for it, and she goes, well, no, I'm not signing. How do I know you didn't take anything? So she starts going through her stuff.
Through her crap. Yep.
And the cop behind her, who's the gun, he goes, how do we know you didn't give us anything? Burn, savage cop. That guy's a dick through the whole fucking film.
Yes, he is. He's the one that also says the granddaughter's just imagining things.
Yes, that's because she's talking about monsters. Of course, she's making shit up. So John Hurt is asking homeless lady, "Why do you need a gun?" And she goes, "Well, Victor needs the gun."
Her brother.
Yes, Victor wants the gun, so he goes down there to see Victor.
And he's being trailed, by the way, the entire time they leave the police station. It's not by the reporter dude who tried bugging him for stuff. It's somebody else who is.
It's a guy who works for the NRC.
Yes.
The Nuclear Regulation Commission. Yeah, commission. So, so they get down. They go to see Victor. They have to go through this whole thing. John Hurd almost has his head bashed in twice.
Yep.
By the stupid kid. I can't remember what that homeless guy's name is. Aldo or something like that.
Yeah, Aldo. Yeah, something like that.
But they find Victor, and Victor is laying on a bed, and he's obviously in pain. He's injured.
He's got a big wrap around his leg.
And like John Hurd is like, what the fuck is going on down here?
Yeah.
And they're very vague about what's going on.
Yep, and all the homeless, when they go down there originally, all the underground homeless are just running away like they're really scared.
Yeah, because they don't know they don't know who's who anymore. Mm-hmm. They're turning on each other. They're doing all kinds of shit like that.
Yep.
So eventually, Victor basically says, "I need a gun to kill them." And he's like,
ugly motherfucker.
Yeah, who are you talking about? Well, they take the bandage off of Victor's leg, and it's just gnarly fucking. It looks like a rip or a bite was taken out of his leg. It's obviously infected.
Let's not get him to a hospital or anything. By the way,
no, just bring your bandages. There's a reason why people like that live underground, and it's because they don't trust the world up here. And I think even Daniel Stern references that at some point about how it's a scary world. Didn't the NYPD send cops with flamethrowers to kill the sewer? Yes, they did. Yep. Yeah, they did. We're getting there, Weeb. So eventually, we come out of sewer, and then we go right back to the soup kitchen, and Bosch is now back a second time. I don't know why we couldn't all do this in one scene, but now he's back a second time, and Daniel Stern is basically saying like something's fishy's going on. I call about missing homeless people, and I get the
captain,
of the police.
Remember he calls him the lieutenant first, but then he corrects him being a captain.
Right, he got promoted because he was obviously a lieutenant when he first got arrested or whatever their backstory is supposed to be. And he just basically like weasels out of him like, what what's going on? Something's going on. You need to tell me who's missing. Did they get the mayor?
The
Did they do
governor,
this?
the
And
president,
then he says, basically, it's my
your
wife.
mother. Yeah, he says your mother, and he says my wife, and they're just like,
Oh yeah, that's right. It's my wife. Basically, Daniel Stern. Oh,
yeah.
they got Bosch's wife,
You know,
which is really
you know what I
Daniel
find
Stern's
really
wife.
funny, at least to me too. A lot of the time with the dialogue in this, when you see the people quote unquote acting, it's like played up really dramatically, like almost soap opera-ish if it is.
That's what I was talking when you were talking about these Shakespearean actors that they brought in to do this whole thing. It's like, and all these drama people.
Yeah.
It's like they wanted to turn a horror film and give it the prestige of a drama.
Like everybody's a smug asshole in this though. Most
Yes,
actors are all smug assholes.
most of them are all just fucking smug assholes the whole time,
Yeah.
and nobody wants to help anybody.
Nope.
Everybody is fighting everybody, and they're all trying to get what they want for themselves.
Yep.
And
But I
it's
think
not
it
really.
I think it does though. I don't know how well that comes off for an audience when you have like every character is smug. And it's not just the fact they're smug like as a character. It's these people acting smug as an actor. It's like what the
Yeah. Oh, you don't have to apologize, Weep. It's fine. We will talk about that because that's one of my favorite scenes. Um, uh, so, so, so he finds out. So Daniel Stern finds out that Bosch's wife is
mm,
missing, and he tells him about his underground. He goes, "Okay, now you got to give me some information. What's going on with the EPA testing?"
yep.
Right? And he goes, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Well, it's usually goes on for a week. It should be over." He goes, "It's been going on for 4 weeks now."
So here's the funny thing about this, right? At least I find it funny too.
Hmm.
So it seems like you'd use the EPA instead of the NRC as a big thing, since that's what they mentioned first before they
Right.
mentioned the NRC at all. But
Uh,
no, they have it so it's the NRC because it's a Nuclear Regulatory Commission sounds more evil because it's got nuclear in the title, so the Environmental Protection Agency.
right, which gives you toxic waste, and they handle toxic waste, which you would think the EPA would
Yeah,
handle.
they do. They also handle toxic waste, so this is so stupid. The
So this
Nuclear
must
Regulation.
be so the NRC must be some sort of government, like it's above the EPA, or they work with the EPA in some way, but they've obviously got more
Well,
power than
whoever
the
wrote this had
EPA.
no idea how either of these organizations work
I
because
That
they
is not surprising to me because they don't know how dialogue works too. They don't know how people talk to each other. This movie is such a fucking mess. I don't even know. And the thing is like if somebody's like, "Hey, you want to watch Chud?" I'd be like, "Yeah, put it on." It's this weird fucking love. It's not even a hate that I have with it. It's just
I've grown to dislike this movie.
yeah, you were telling me that. You just like it's weird, man. It's got this weird, just cult. It's got this cult following to it, and then when you sit down and you watch it, you're like,
Why?
why?
Yeah,
It's not even like the monsters are really that great.
they're not that inventive as monsters because of what they seem like to me. And we talked about how Minty talked about this a little bit. It's like, yeah, they're evil teenage mutant ninja turtles without being ninja turtles.
Yeah, Decker brought that up too.
Yeah,
Uh, it and I think it was before Ninja Turtles
it was. Yeah,
came
it's
out. So
1984.
yeah, but maybe not because wasn't Ninja Turtles a comic before that?
Well, yeah, it was a comic in the 80s too, but
Right. Okay. So they find out this EPA test is going on. And then where do we go after that? Because I can't tell you what scene comes after that.
after the EPA test, well, they
Well,
find
after Daniel Stern and Captain Bosch are talking about the EPA test, that's when they find out there's something going down the sewer. Now, do they go into the sewers after that?
yeah, they do go into the sewers after that. That's
Because
correct.
eventually they find a bunch of shit down
Yeah,
there.
they found the
That's how they know it's the NRC.
yeah, that's how they do know it's the NRC, even though it should be the EPA. Actually, no, it still doesn't seem like it's the NRC because even though they mentioned that there's a Geiger counter down there, right?
Yes.
There's also what Joe Bob thought was a prosthetic leg. It's a boot seal for the actual like footwear.
Yes, that's what it is. I thought it was somebody's cast.
Yeah, but
I
it's
thought it
not.
was some sort of like
Yeah,
cast that
it's
you
a footwear
wear.
thing, and so when they're down there, they basically just turn on the Geiger counter, and all of a sudden it spikes really quickly, like something's moving, and then it turns away.
Right, because something's down there with them.
Hmm.
And at first we think it's only one.
Yes.
We think there's only one because at some point they mention it's dead.
Yeah, they mention that a little bit later when they're after they go to the whole meetings. But first, what they did was they found all that out, and then I think it's it's either Bosch or it's Shepard that mentions the fact, oh yeah, there's a dude who came down here, took a lot of pictures. Maybe he might have something else too. They go to his house. They go to Cooper's house to steal that shit.
Oh yeah, that's right. They break into Cooper's place.
Yes.
Um,
with Bosch using a knife to do so.
Yeah, Stern breaks in with the knife.
All right, that's right.
And Bosch is like, "Hey, you're under arrest
for breaking that
He knows he can't do anything about it. At some point, John Hurd finds out his girlfriend's pregnant.
Yes.
When he comes home,
yes.
and then that's going on for a scene where it's
that happens before they go and break into his house because they go celebrate in the park, and when they're at the park, that's the journalist comes up.
Murphy, yeah.
Yes.
And Murphy is like, "Hey, why are you so important? How do I know who you are, but you don't know who I am?"
And yeah, then you realize Murphy is one of those great things in life we call a journo.
Yeah, a goddamn filthy journo.
I have to say, when him and Hurd, there's a really great scene between both of them when he starts talking about it. He's like, "Oh, what political bullshit is this?" Like, that's one of my favorite lines in this movie. Just, what kind of political bullshit are you trying to spin?
You write this fucking crap.
You write this political bullshit.
Because John Hurd thinks that Murphy stole his pictures.
Yes, he does.
So he gets with Murphy to get his pictures back, and Murphy's like, "I don't have your fucking pictures, dude. I told you were being tailed."
Yeah, by the police. He says the police probably has them, and he's right. Technically, they do, because that's the whole scene with Daniel Stern and Bosch, is where they're basically going to the.
Correct.
It was the police chief, the mayor, and not the police chief, the police commissioner. Excuse me, the police commissioner,
who looks like Jim Ross.
Yes, he does.
Before a stroke.
Yes, Jim Ross before a stroke. Then you have the mayor, and then you have the NRC leader.
Right, who's a fucking cunt.
Yes, he is. They're all gathered around like the world's biggest meeting table too. So it's like, why? So then you have Daniel Stern, almost like this is the kind of act they were prepared to do with showing this stuff. They start talking about it, and then they show the photos.
Right. Yes, they're trying to figure out what's going on, basically, and they went straight to the top with it.
Yes.
And eventually they're not getting the information they want, or Daniel Stern isn't happy, so he starts throwing things around.
Yeah, well, the guy stole his photos first because he's showing them and saying, "I'm going to go to the press with this." Like, oh, wow, the press, I'm sure they'd be really intimidated with that. That's like the weakest thing you can give anybody.
He's like, what are you going to tell them? There's monsters in the sewer?
Yeah, he floats, look at these photos, and he grabs the photos, and he tosses the guy's freaking suitcase.
Yeah, throws the suitcase. Then he takes his fucking boot.
Yep, and he takes the photos back, yep.
And while he's doing that, the confidential file falls on the ground.
Yes, the CHUD file.
The CHUD file. Welcome to the CHUD files.
And he's basically like reprimanding everybody, saying, like, what are you looking at my shit for?
Like, what do you think this is high school?
Yep.
It is a confidential
government
document. You're not allowed to look at that.
Also, he's talking to he's talking about that guy, the one that did the other stuff to, was tailing Hurd's character. He talks to him and says, go deal with Stern, yeah.
Yeah. But while they're looking at the file, when Bosch picks it up, this is the first time we get CHUD.
Yes.
Right. And they want to know what a CHUD is, because the commissioner thinks he's being called a CHUD.
Yeah.
Because he's sort of reprimanding Bosch, and Bosch is like, CHUD. And the commissioner's like, what did you fucking say to me? What did you call me? I don't even know what that means.
Yep.
And then they go CHUD. They get reprimanded by the NRC guy who's just can't look at that. Yeah, Wilson. That's right.
Mr. Wilson. Mr. Wilson's gone even dirtier. That Dennis the Menace will be turned into a CHUD yet.
Which is funny because the small kid in there that almost gets eaten, he almost looks like Dennis the Menace.
A little bit, yeah.
So that's the first time we hear CHUD, and then we get two. We kind of get two meanings for CHUD.
But we don't find out the letter meaning till way later.
We don't. Yeah, we don't find out the letter meaning until they go back into the sewer.
Way later.
Right. So Wilson gets some kind of phone call.
Yes, he does. That's correct.
I can't remember, but he won't tell him. But then when he
It's
gets
like, oh,
off,
wait, they got him. They got it.
yeah. So then when he gets off the phone, he goes, "Cannibalistic humanoid underground dweller."
Yep.
CHUD. That's what it is. And it was real quick. At first, he wasn't going to tell him. Then he got a phone call. Then he's like, "All right, I'll tell you what it is. It doesn't matter." It all happens in the same scene. It's not even like you have to wait to figure out what that fucking means. Then where do we go after that?
Then after that, we basically see Daniel Stern's character go to the phone booth. He's going to go contact the press, but that guy's following him, and then he eats the fucking quarter that he just takes out of his face.
Daniel Stern has picked up the phone. He's put his quarter in, and just as he does that, the guy slams the dial down on the receiver down on the thing, takes the quarter, and eats it.
That's so disgusting.
He does, and he kind of reminds me of Dodgson from Jurassic Park.
A little bit.
He looks like him a little bit. He's got the glasses and the shirt tucked in and all that shit. Like the Dodgson, we got Dodgson here. See, nobody cares. Love that scene. That's way off fucking topic. But so then he eats it. Then where do we go?
I'm just trying to remember.
That's what happens with this movie, because we're jumping back and forth. See, they at least put two of the main characters together for a lot of it.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, I know where we go. We go back into the sewer with John Hurd and Murphy.
Yep.
Because they're walking around down there. Murphy's got a gun.
Yep.
Right. And John Hurd's like, "Why do you have a fucking gun?" He goes, "You said Victor knows what he's talking about. And if Victor wants a gun, I want a gun."
Yep.
So they're walking around down there. They're arguing with each other. And eventually they get to like this hole in a brick wall somewhere. And just as they're in the middle of their argument, Murphy gets pulled through the hole by a CHUD.
Yes, he does.
And he just gets fucking eaten.
Now Murphy's gone. He was such an important character. Oh, wait, but before that, Jenova, I remember. Because all the stuff that's been going on, Bosch goes to see Stern again, tells him that you need to get out of here, that you don't know what could be going on, because I think I know what's down there, and they're all like mutants or something. He's like, "No, I got soup to put on," and he goes to look for Val, right?
Oh, yes, that's right.
And when he goes to look for Val, Val just like.
No, we're jumping way ahead.
Is it? I don't know.
I believe. Okay. The Val thing comes when they're going to fill the sewers with gas.
Oh, right.
So before that, we're getting to the part where.
But but the part with Bosch is before that though too, where he basically says, "Watch the gas" and everything else because he heard about something with it.
Yeah. That's right. Because they bring up that plan a little bit.
Yeah, they bring up the plan. It's all them. It goes back to the office. But it's not
until what they do is because when Wilson gets that phone call, the phone call is about how two gas guys just found the body of
I forgot all about that. Yeah, we skipped all that shit. Whoops.
Well, because eventually they send down the NRC, and when they get down there, there's cops with flamethrowers down there. So,
but we forgot to mention the fact when he goes to see the CHUD, you don't see it throughout the entire thing, and then you see it through his reflection too.
Yes. That's after they collect it from the. Yes, that's after they collect it because they go down there. The NRC goes down there. We get to see that the boots belong to them. That's where the boots are because they have a shot in there.
Jenova. Before that, the whole thing when we go to the place, it's all the guys are there. The mayor's there. The chief's there. And everything else when they go to the place to see the body.
Right. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I was just saying that because that's way before that. He's like saying, "Oh, there was only one of them. There can't be more." Are you fucking sure of that? All right, we'll have my guys go down there and check.
This movie is such a mess.
I know I have to remind.
I can't keep the scene straight. I swear to God, I don't know when everything happened.
But yeah, that's the whole thing. Like you don't even like the whole thing with the CHUD because all I can show is that fucking mask again. Because I told you that's all it is a mask and gloves.
Yes,
that's all I have in this movie. So you see that CHUD head, which is just the mask without the lights in it.
So eventually the first time they go into the sewer, when they send the NRC down there.
Yeah, he was, but Wilson was saying, "I'm gonna have my men deal with it." It's like hell, you're just gonna have your men deal with it. I'm gonna have my men down there too," says Bosch. And then he's like, "Oh,
Right.
but we're gonna overrule you and all this other shit." But he does it anyway, so he's watching the whole thing. It's like,
Right.
and then Wilson says like, "Tell those police officers to leave immediately." He's like, "Are you kidding, Wilson?" He's like, "Why is that?" Your guys have a camera. My guys have flamethrowers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which do nothing, by the way.
No, nothing to the Chuds. Not at all.
No, because eventually they're walking down there. The guys have the flamethrowers.
And the NRC has the Geiger counter and the camera.
Geiger counters, and they kind of happen upon the Chud, right?
Yep. Yeah, they don't know what it is because it's just the Geiger counter is spiking and they don't see what it is. Like, we can't have visual context. Like, burn it anyways because fuck it. If anything, it's not saying hello. It's obviously a monster.
Yes, exactly. Which is not a bad line.
No.
If it's not saying hello, then I don't give a shit about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think we get to see the attack, right?
We kind of do, but it's like really shittily shot, and then they get fully like disemboweled. So that's pretty much it for those characters.
Right, because then I know eventually later when they go back down there,
yeah, they find the
Daniel
camera.
Stern finds the camera and the headphones
and the headset.
That. So after the part with the cops with the flamethrowers in the sewer with the NRC, then eventually we head back up to the top, right?
Yeah, it's with the mayor, the commissioner, and fucking Wilson's character, and he's saying like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna fill it with gas and all this other stuff." And
now, what we forgot to mention, which I think gets mentioned during the meeting room scene, is that they were talking about how what they were doing was they were transporting toxic waste through the sewers.
Yes.
And they were waiting for the bill to pass, but while they waited for the bill to pass that allows them to do that, they were transporting it anyway.
Yeah. They were storing it so they could transport it fully because the bill didn't pass. So that's why the city had a stink and there was like a lawsuit going on and all this other shit.
Right. Exactly. So after the flamethrowers, then where do we go?
After the flamethrowers, Jesus. After the flamethrowers, I'm pretty sure we do get the scene with Captain Bosch going to talk to Daniel Stern saying you should get out of here and all this other stuff because I know what's down there.
Right.
And keep an eye on like if you need the gas or something because he talks about like flooding the whole thing with gas.
Yes, they're gonna flood the sewers with gas.
And Bosch is there when he says it's like, "What are you, fucking idiot?"
Yes.
So here's the big thing that it comes up as like a major problem for me in this film. Like there's not enough of them, but here we go. So the whole plan to do that is by turning sewage pipes into gas pipes.
Right.
Consider that. That doesn't work. They're not in the same system. How the fuck would you do that?
These are the same people who don't know the difference between the EPA and the NRC. These are the same people who don't know how to. This film is a mess. It's bring a broom because it's a mess. I can't tell you how many times I watched it twice, like I said, and every time I watched it, I just went, "What the fuck is going on?" I have no idea what the fuck's going on. But eventually we make it back up top and it's nighttime.
Yes.
And then some things start to happen. The Chud, so John Hurd's girlfriend has to go back into the basement, right? Yeah, because in the beginning we find out that John Hurd brought up all his camera brought up all his stuff, but left her shit down there.
Oh, did we mention the pregnancy? Yeah, we did mention the pregnancy.
Yeah, we mentioned a little bit.
I didn't mention the fact how overreacting they are about talking about an abortion or not and all this other stupid shit.
The other option.
The other option.
That's what they kept calling it. The other option.
I want a baby. You want a baby. Hug, kiss, and then let's fuck.
Hey, Huck. Welcome. Yes. So.
And he talks about like them leaving there too and going into
yes, that's when they're in the park. They want to go to the suburbs.
No, she mentions it before they go to the park. Actually.
Okay. All right. There's so much, dude.
I know.
I don't know. what they were thinking when they wrote it. It's not a bad idea when you're stoned and drunk and talking about it with your friends.
Your
But
friends
when
who are
it
all in this movie too.
but when it comes to actually putting it on film, uh I I don't they must have been stoned and drunk when they were doing that too. Because holy fuck. Look, okay, so John Hurt's girlfriend, she has to go into the basement to get her shit because her
Yep.
boyfriend is an asshole and didn't help and didn't bring any of her shit
It's
up with
about
her.
my camera stuff.
Well,
We
when he
need
mentions,
it.
she goes, you brought up all your photography equipment, but you didn't bring up my jewelry box. And he goes, no, I guess you better go get it. Like he doesn't give a shit at all.
No, he does not.
Who is
So
this
here's
guy,
the.
and what gives him this ego? I don't understand.
I don't know, because the thing is, he's a live-in boyfriend with this chick too. He basically lives off her, not the other way around.
Well, he's supposed to be some famous photographer.
He was. He's a wash-up now.
He that was just John Hurd's life, a wash up. I don't know. So she goes down to the basement and she gets sort of intrigued by she's hearing like scratching noises or something
Yeah, something like that.
coming
It's
from
the basement because it goes to
the
the sewer
basement because there's a sewer thing down
for
in
whatever
there.
reason.
For whatever fucking reason that's in the basement. I don't know
Plot
why it would
points,
be there.
plot reasons.
But she opens it up and she drops
Yeah,
whatever she
like
was down there to get
yeah,
down in there.
yeah, the clumsiest way fucking possible. Like just drop it in there.
Right. So she goes down in there to get it, but while she's down in there, she sees the dog.
Yep, she sees the dead dog hanging because the chuds didn't want to eat that. They only want to eat the humans for whatever reason.
Right. She sees the dead dog hanging there. Like you said, why they didn't eat the dog, I have no fucking clue. They decided to just hang it there. Maybe it's leftovers and they're coming back for it.
Maybe
But
they're making jerky out of it. You never know.
yeah, maybe they're making jerky with it. I have no fucking clue.
Dog jerky.
So she runs back upstairs. She's not scared. She just is done, and she goes back upstairs.
Oh, but no, she does run because she sees a chud down there. Actually,
What's that?
she sees the chud down there.
I think she gets something happens, but she closes the door and she
locks the door. Actually,
well, then she goes to take a shower, so she's not that bothered.
No. She calls the police too, Jenova.
She calls the police to report the dog.
Yeah, but she saw something else down there too. The chud was down there as well.
She wanted people to check it out, basically. But then
Yeah,
she goes
she
and
did.
takes a shower. For some reason, she imagines blood everywhere.
Oh, by the way, no, she doesn't imagine blood everywhere. All right, you ready for that?
That's really supposed to be the blood is supposed to really be there.
Yes. Okay, let me explain it to you. All right.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. So the whole point of this scene originally in the movie was there was going to be a topless scene because 80s movies have that with shower scenes and everything else. They've had it since Hitchcock's movies and everywhere, but the actress didn't want to, so they cut it out from it. Like I don't know why you would do this, and it goes into Joe Bob's whole thing. He talks about this like this is how this movie automatically gets a deduction of stars for me because shower scenes are pivotal for horror movies, and this bitch didn't want to do it.
Yeah, well, she seemed a little hoity-toity.
A little bit, yeah.
Although the first time you see her, her pants are down and she's putting makeup on her ass because there's a pimple there.
Yes.
So you kind of get a little bit, but you don't get too much. It's very much like the kills and the gore in this, where everything happens, like everything gets cut or happens off screen.
Mm-hmm.
You don't, which they take over to CHUD 2 as well, which we will get to.
Oh, by the way, I just realized why John Hurd's name is George Cooper.
Why?
Because the guy who did the music for this film's name is Martin Cooper.
Oh, no.
Name it after my friends.
Hey, my friend Martin's going to do the music, okay? Like, they're just at the party. Like, hey, Martin, you want to do the music for this movie? Like, yeah, I'll do it, dude. Why not? I don't know anything about music, but I'll do it.
I'll turn on the demo feature of my Casio keyboard.
But let's talk about the music for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
The soundtrack is fucking rocking.
It is.
It's a great soundtrack.
It is.
I believe it made it to like Rolling Stone like put it at number 35 on the list of movie soundtracks.
Yeah.
And it's actually very good. It's a very good soundtrack. I enjoy it a lot. You can listen to it on YouTube. It's got
Apparently,
that.
Joe Bob did not like it though. I'm surprised he didn't.
Well, can't always agree with Joe Bob.
True.
But I enjoy the soundtrack a lot. It's
Me
not,
too.
it's not like
It's no Friday the
13th part 3. Yeah, I was just gonna say it's no Friday the 13th disco soundtrack, but it's fucking it's
Actually,
good
you
for
meant
what
part
it
4
is.
is what you mean when it's
Oh, it's
fucking.
part 4 the disco one.
Yes, it's where you
Okay.
see it's where you see Crispin Glover dancing to it.
Okay.
That's part 4.
So some scenes. Okay, so I'm gonna give you some scenes, and you tell me where we missed them.
All right, go
All
ahead.
right, somewhere between where we were talking about, somewhere in between them going down the sewer with the flamethrowers.
Mm-hmm.
All right, there's the grandfather scene with the daughter.
That's before.
Okay.
That's before.
Then there's a scene where they happen upon it's about like an hour in, I believe, and they're down in the sewers. And Decker was complaining. He goes, "Movie, we are an hour in, and you still haven't given us a clear shot of the monster. Can we get something, please?" And right
Yeah, I
after
know that's when Marv's in the sewer, actually.
okay, and that's when you see all those different chuds. There's
Yes.
a bunch of them.
Yeah, that's after. So that's when. So let's get to it. So basically, Cooper's character's already down there. The other guy gets killed, right?
Right.
They talk about flooding the whole thing with gas. So because of that, he notices the gas turns off. He's like, I have to keep an eye on the gas. He takes that as a thing from Bosch that, oh God, something's gonna go down. So he goes to go for Val because he knows Val's down there.
Right.
And because Val is down there, he goes to get him and tries to get him out. But as soon as Val tries to, like, he says the sky is falling, does all this stuff to get Val out.
Right.
When Val goes to that, that gets
He
shut.
goes. Okay. Yes, we can talk about this. I don't know if they shut it on his head. I don't know if they stab him. I don't know if they shoot him, but he's dead.
So yeah, he falls basically. What I think he does is he's got the knife in his hand, so he fell on the knife.
Okay. Well, they could have portrayed that in a way better way.
I know it's really stupid how Val dies, but
he's just fucking dead. It looks like almost because that's when he's because he goes to leave and they shut the grate and they lock it because they're about to pump gas into
yeah, but no, you know the guy who's locking it though is that guy again, the NRC guy.
Yeah. Okay, so the other scene, at some point, Detective Bosch sees his wife's decapitated head.
Yes, that scene is after that too. It's after the Chud scene you mentioned as well, because Marv keeps going down deeper in the sewer, and that's where he finds that, and then he was like, "Holy shit, what are these things?" and runs.
Right. Okay.
Or it might be between it. I don't remember exactly.
And then they find the body. They find a body, and they don't know.
It's your wife's head, yeah.
Yeah, they don't know yet. And then just as he sees her head, some cop,
oh God,
is like, "Holy shit, it's his wife."
Yep.
And then we.
So why did the Chuds do that too? Why'd they take her out from the sewer and go up to the shore and dump her head?
We are asking way too many logical questions for this movie because they make sure to have a reason for why the fucking truck explodes, but they don't have a reason for a lot of these other common questions that a normal person would have. And we will get to the truck. We're almost there.
Mm-hmm.
So the Chud. So John Hurt's wife. She runs upstairs. She's got the bloods in there, which she never mentions again. She doesn't say anything about. No. And the Chud basically escapes from the basement room of the apartment building.
Yeah, she called the police to bring them over too, and that's all going on at the same time.
Right. And then the Chud are also we come to a diner
where none other than John Goodman and Jay Thomas are, along with Helen Foote.
Right. Jay Thomas and John Goodman are two cops.
Yes.
And they are hitting on the waitress, who's played by, what's her name again?
It's Hallie Foote. F-O-T-E.
F-O-T-E.
F-O-O-T-E.
Yeah, that's Foot.
Yeah.
I'm actually related to some Foots, just so you know.
Oh, so you're a Foot, are you? I always took you for a lung.
On my I'm not related to them. It's a long story, but I
Okay, good.
actually know some Foots. They're actually kind of popular around this area of town. But so John Goodman, Jay Taylor, Foot they're hitting on her basically, and
Jay
you've
Thomas,
got
not Jay Taylor.
yes,
Jay
Jay
Thomas.
Thomas.
Was in
And
everything, by the way, chat. Just so you know, he's like in every fucking thing possible.
true, yeah, true. Uh, and then the Chud basically like they come up from the sewers like it's
Yeah,
emergence
it's a lot
day.
of chud. Yes, it's like
Uh,
4 or 5 of them.
yes, and they attack. And again, it happens off screen. They attack. They leave the homeless guy that's sitting outside. By the way,
Yep.
nobody does. He gets up and just leaves because they go right past him. They break the windows out and they start eating everybody in there.
Bosch is pissed, by the way, after this happens because like this whole diner is basically murdered and slaughtered.
You're right, correct. And at that same time, the Chud are attacking the apartment.
Yes.
And eventually one of them chases John Hurd's girlfriend.
Well, it's just one chud in that apartment.
Okay,
It's
so
not
just
more
one
than
Chud
2.
in that apartment.
Yes.
It corners her, and for some reason she's got a samurai sword.
It's a cavalry sword, actually.
Okay, she's got a cavalry sword, which I would
And
understand.
the chud
over a
extends
samurai.
its neck.
Okay, why? Why does the Chud extend its neck?
Maybe it's horny. I don't know.
I think it was the only real practical effect they had.
Yeah.
And that like some guy, whoever did it, built it in there. Like, hey, look, I can make his neck extend. How cool is that? And they're like, well, we've got to use that. It's the only thing we've got.
Yeah.
So she cuts off its head, which
The
is
head
the
tries to
only
bite her.
real. Yeah, it's one of the only real sort of like
Ways to kill them.
yes, but it's like one of the only kill shots we see on screen.
Yes, that too.
And you get like the full thing. She comes down with the sword, and you can see like inside the neck, and it's bleeding, and it's real fucking
bleeding
gross.
green.
If they would have done that the whole movie, shit like that, the whole movie, it would have been fucking. I would have been calling this movie a mess, like I am. I mean, it still would have been a mess, but at the same time,
I've got another great thing for you, right?
Okay, go ahead.
So the whole thing with this movie that I want you to think about, which he's cornered up there, because she basically unplugs the phone by herself and fucks it up, is that there's a fire escape outside her window.
Oh my god.
I
didn't even think about that.
She stays there.
So she stays there to sword fight a Chud instead of jumping out the fire escape.
Yes.
Who? Just a reminder, drunk, stoned people created this movie at a party.
Yes.
And you would think that they would come up with something better than this. But I feel like at the party, they like drew up the contracts and everything, and they were already tied to it before that party was up. And they were like, yes, this is what we're doing. They hyped themselves up, and it just wasn't a good idea. There was no sober person to go, hey, don't do that. Don't do that at all. So now they're locking up all the sewers. They've taken all the gas, and they are filling the sewers with gas. Now Wilson tells us
go ahead.
that the trucks are rigged to explode. So watch the potholes.
Who does that?
You see me choking on this? I don't understand.
Was that a hard pill to swallow?
It was a hard pill to swallow. Why would you rig the trucks to explode? Why?
You asked me too much of this movie, Jenova, obviously.
New York is full of potholes. How did you get them there?
Exactly.
Did you rig them in the parking lot and then not move them? Like, what the fuck is happening? And at the same time that this is happening, Daniel Stern and is it John Hurd? They're trapped in the.
No. Yeah, they are trapped. But before that, Jenova, there's another great pivotal scene that I want you to remember.
Oh, I'm sure it's pivotal. I'm sure it's great. Go ahead.
It's when John Hurd's character is walking around down there, and he finds the body of like the homeless dude he saw before, the Aldolf dude or whatever his name was. He's half eaten, And then you see
Right.
Victor's in the corner, and he looks all like he's barely hanging on anything. He flips
Yes.
him, and he's a chud now.
Right, because getting bit by Chud
Turns you
turns
into
you
a chud.
into a Chud. You
Yeah.
start mutating.
Yes, but the whole thing with that, at least I find funny too, is Victor has a gun.
Yes, where did Victor get his gun?
Unless he's the one that attacked Murphy.
Oh, that's not. But he's been in the bed the whole time. The next time we see him, he's in the bed still.
I know. I don't know who gave it to him or how he got it, but what I find really funny still is why would you give the monster a gun? Why is he attacking with a gun? He's got the teeth.
I think it's because I don't think he knows he's a chud at that point. I think here's what I think happened. There are enough chud down there where it doesn't have to be Victor,
But
right?
he's the
Because
guy
he's
who no.
okay.
What I think is the guy who ate Adolph's body is Victor because he's turning into the Chud. It's just they were too lazy and thought, oh, he has the gun because they talked about it as a plot point. But let's not
Here's what I think happened.
go ahead. I just
I
so
think
like oh,
oh, trust me, I'm right there with you. But this is how I would make sense of it.
okay.
Murphy gets eaten,
Yes.
right, by a chud. Chud's not
Mhm.
going to eat a gun. Old homeless lady from the beginning stumbles upon the gun, brings it to Victor.
Mhm.
Found you a gun. That is the only thing I can think of. That's the only thing that could make sense in my head.
That's true. I get, but then she basically leaves him alone for a minute. Then he turns into a Chud and is holding the gun.
Right. And then
Why is he trying to attack him with a gun? Is my thing because he's obviously turning into the Chud. Why doesn't he try biting him or clawing him? He tries attacking him with the gun as a Chud. Like what the fuck?
we're asking too much from this movie.
What the fuck?
I don't know what to I don't have any answers, man. This is a world where nothing is solved. No
Also,
questions are answered.
can we talk about the fact this great scene, pivotal scene, by the way, after he kills Victor, he has to shoot him twice.
Right.
Once in the chest, then once in the head. That
Right.
his sister comes and just knocks him off slightly, like knocks Cooper down slightly.
Yeah. She's
He's
like,
like,
"You
I'll
killed
get
my
you for
brother."
yeah, and before she can shoot, guess Marv's there, and he just fucking pushes her too. It's like the weakest fucking fight scenes I've ever seen in a movie where it was like, oh, I'm exhausted today after the shoot. Push, get out of my way,
This whole
bum.
movie is just people exhausted and not wanting to work. It's just like, I guess I'll act today. And because everybody's friends with everybody, nobody can be anybody's boss, and nobody can tell anybody that that they're fired or they need to do something better. Sweet says maybe the chud hadn't taken over his brain yet. Maybe he was half human, half chud at that point.
I don't know,
So he's
sweet.
kind of in between because we do almost see like a
I
like
mean, I
a
bet. I think Victor was the inspiration for Chud too because of how he looks.
yes, that I can definitely see that for sure. I think whoever they watched the first Chud and they went, "Hey, look, this guy gets bit and turns into a Chud, so that's what
Oh,
we'll do."
I didn't tell you about that yet. We'll get that to when I get on to
Yeah,
two. But
we're coming to the end of the first Chud now, and then we're going into Bud. We're right over
yeah,
there.
Bud the Chud. Yep.
So
I think
they've
I mentioned it during when I was streaming, but I'll mention it again anyways.
so they've filled the sewers
With gas, the
with
gas is
gas.
coming in. Yep.
Detective Captain Bosch, not detective, Captain
Yep.
Bosch is on the surface. He's up top, and
Yep.
he sees right, and there's a truck that's parked over a manhole. So he's looking for the keys to the truck to move it.
Yep, and
And
Wilson's there and being an ass.
Wilson's there. There's a little bit of fighting.
Oh, wait. Do you know what? We forgot the most pivotal scene in this. I
Another
mean this
pivotal
time.
scene. Oh
I
my
mean this.
god.
I mean this time.
Okay.
So it's when they walk past the chemical dump. They're like, "Oh God, it's all all this toxic waste here and everything else, right?"
Right. Okay.
And then they go past the thing. It's like, "Oh, it's more toxic waste here." No. This is different because it looks different. And what's the actual meaning of the Chud Jenova? It's not cannibalistic humanoid
It's
underground dweller.
it's con
It's chemical urban.
it's
Go ahead.
containment. Uh, it's containment hazard urban disposal,
Yes.
which is stupid.
Yes, it is
So
stupid, but that's
it
what it
was like,
means.
yes, that's what it means. Because they're not moving the toxic waste. They're just
It's
storing it in. That's
it's
where they're
yep,
moving it to. They're
yep.
not
That's the
using the
toxic waste dump.
sewers, right? They're not using the sewers to move it to somewhere else safely. They're just storing it in the sewers.
Yep.
And basically, what we can infer is that the CHUD are homeless people.
Yes.
And the reason Daniel Stern hasn't seen a lot of the undergrounders is because either A, they're dead and being eaten, or B, they themselves are turning into CHUD.
Yes.
Um,
And I
don't
love
forget
the fact
about
that
CHUD 3, Bode the Chode.
there's no such thing. So I was gonna mention this too. At least it comes out that Bosch is able to figure out something too when he sees the footage or listens to them. He finds out that Wilson does not actually work for the NRC. He
Oh.
he is a government dump man. He just dumps shit for
Oh,
the
yes.
government.
You're the government's garbage man. That's all you are.
Yep.
You don't know. And he doesn't respect them or anything like that. They get into a tussle.
Yes.
Wilson and Bosch get into a tussle. A very you can tell that they're just, this is the end of the day for them, and they're
Thank God I
just
get to go home after this.
just hit me real quick and we'll go home. We'll call it a fucking night. I feel bad for the guy who had to edit this shit, by the way.
The editor of this name is Claire. Oh, that's a woman. I think it's Claire Simpson. Let me check though.
No wonder it's terrible.
Is a British film editor whose work includes honor Academy Awards and BAFTA Awards. She was a mentor of Dee Allen and turned mentor to several renowned Academy Award writers such as. Okay,
Awards mean nothing.
I know. I'm just saying this is a British film editor, so now I feel less bad.
She's prestigious and like she's editing CHUD.
Yes.
Oh fuck! Even she's even like, I can't do a damn thing with this movie. I don't know what you fucking want from me. There's 2 different movies going on here. Why are there 3 main characters?
2? I saw it as like 3 movies.
Yes, you're not wrong, because it's almost as if they had one movie and then they realized it wasn't long enough.
It's 88 minutes, by the way.
Right. So they didn't even make it to the 90-minute mark, and they put like 3 different stories in it. Because like we said, there are 3 main characters.
Yes.
So Bosch and Wilson, they get into a tussle. Bosch gets the upper hand, and as he's walking away, Wilson shoots him. Bang. Right in the fucking back. You're dead, Bosch. He's not dead. But you're dead, Bosch. And then what's her name? John Hurd's girlfriend shows up to the thing, and she's like, "My boyfriend's down there. He's trapped down there. You got to get him out of there." And everybody's like, "Shut up, lady. Nobody cares."
Except they get out because someone moves the car. I don't remember if it's her. It's not her. It's somebody else.
Somebody moves the car, and they're able to.
I think it actually is Bosch that moved. No, it's not. It's Wilson. He moves it because he just, I don't know why. He decides he wants to kill them personally because he knows they know more things.
Well, he gets in that car, and this is coming up. So they escape. They escape the sewers through the manhole. Also, while they're going through the sewers, they are running out of oxygen.
Yes, because it's filling up.
And eventually they find the bodies from the first team that went in there, and they're trying to call for help using the camera and the headset.
That's how they got Bosch's attention. Yeah, we passed that scene.
Right. So,
quote unquote.
So everybody makes it out.
Yes. And they almost get run down by Wilson because he's driving the truck.
He's driving a truck. So this is what happens.
Tell it like it is.
I still have not come to terms with what I witnessed for this ending, or for this scene anyway, because I think something happens after this. But Wilson is driving a truck.
Yes.
That he knows is rigged to explode.
Yes.
And B, he's driving towards a pothole. Now, what ends up happening is Daniel Stern takes the gun and
he takes Bosch's gun.
Shoots him because they're not nobody. He's like, shoot him, and nobody wants to shoot him. But Daniel Stern takes the gun, says, "Fuck this!" Shoots through the glass, hits Wilson in the stomach.
Actually, it takes him like 3 shots to shoot him because he misses like twice.
Okay.
And then he shoots it through the stomach. He's like, "Ah, I'm dying!" And then
Shoots
basically
him in
hits
the
the
stomach.
pothole.
He does like a quick little turn on the wheel, hits the pothole, and
Actually, it's the manhole because the manhole's open. That's what it is.
right, he hits the manhole. Boom!
Car
The whole
explodes.
thing explodes because he said, "I'm gonna get in a truck that's rigged to fucking explode, and I'm gonna
Yes.
run these people over." You think that manhole? If he would have hit one of them, that truck would have exploded. You
Yeah.
can't hit a fucking body and not cause enough fucking turbulence or whatever the fuck you want to call it for those bombs to explode if they're gonna hit a manhole and then blow up.
So here's the big thing too,
What
Jenova. I
the
want you to
fuck did we watch today?
look, I want you to think about this real quick, all right?
Yeah.
The sewer's filled with gas and an explosion happens, and it doesn't explode.
Yes. Yes. Holy shit! I didn't even think about that. Is that because the manhole is open and the gas is escaping? It
That's not
shouldn't
how that
work
would
like
work.
that, right? It should still catch. Oh
So
my! What the
so,
fuck?
so Jenova, I gotta keep asking this. So what happens to the chuds?
They burn. They explode.
They don't, because another explosion happened.
So what happens to the chuds?
Yeah, exactly. They
Well,
don't
first
answer
of
that
all,
question.
why would the chuds? Why would they want to blow up the chuds when flamethrowers didn't work?
Exactly. Did you think about that one too?
I don't. There's too much. Look, I was so taken back by the fact that this guy hit a manhole in a truck rigged to explode and then blew up. And I didn't even
So
think
here's a
like.
bigger.
Go
I
ahead.
got another thing for you too.
Okay.
So there's an edit after he blows up the truck that shows twice Bosch saying "nice shots," the same shot twice.
Same shot twice.
Yes, they didn't edit that out.
So they were like, "Oh, we need at least one more second." For,
Bosch says "nice shot" twice. It's the same scene.
what the fuck?
Hmm.
Uh, and then what happens after the truck explodes? It's like a happy ending, right?
Yeah, can't quote unquote happy ending. The Chuds didn't die, Genova, unless they all
The,
got killed by the gas that's down there that asphyxiated them, I guess. So, and
so
here's another thing though I want you to consider. Are
okay,
you ready? So it seems like Bosch is alive, right?
right?
But is
Yes,
he? Because
that's what
it doesn't show
happens
him get
after.
back. It
Yes,
doesn't
go
show him
ahead.
get back up, and then Daniel Stern basically like shuts his eyes. Is he dead or alive, Genova?
I think he's dead. I think he's dead because
Bud
he
the
can be
Chud.
with his wife now.
Bud the Chud.
Oh, that's coming.
I know.
We're almost there. Prepare.
So
Because it gets worse.
yeah, I know it gets worse. It's one of the worst like horror movies. Period. Uh, so let so I can understand why people like this film, like I said, and I think one
Yes.
of the biggest reasons why, at least I'm gonna go. A lot of this has been me quoting Joe Bob because he does a great job covering this. But he says this. He says, "I think the reason people like this movie so much is because it gives the fact of how much people think New York is a shitty place and how shittier it could be."
Yeah.
And he's got a good point because this was filmed after the whole bankruptcy thing hit New York. There was a lot of gangs running the streets and everything else like that. It was just like that small recovery
True.
period after
Yeah.
that. It's like, oh yeah, we covered through those great times. Now there's something even worse because it's New York.
Right. Exactly. Because New York sucks.
Yes, it does. New York City as a whole sucks even more so
Yeah.
than parts
It's
of
a
the state which are
shithole.
okay.
It's always been a shithole.
But I do not want to live in New York forever. I can tell you that much. I have
No.
been
Who
for a
would?
long time in my life, but I don't want to
Even
live
New
here forever.
Yorkers don't want to live in New York.
That's why they all go to Florida.
Exactly. Sweet says Genova's frustrated perplexity sums Chud up the best. I don't know what the fuck's happening in this movie. Twice I watched this movie. uh, I'm sure no one mentioned or even noticed this, says Porky. Here he comes with his smart ass remarks. He says, but Stern and Hurd were both in Home Alone. We know, Porky.
He's saying that because we mentioned that as one of the first things.
I don't
They
think
basically went from Chud to Home Alone. Think about that. Think about that, Genova.
I know. Lost in New York. McAllister. So while okay, so Daniel Stern robs people to fund his chud hunting. Sweets asks if Geiger counters aren't actually legal in New York anymore. Does that mean chud is a real thing? Do
Oh,
you have
are they
chud?
not legal anymore? I
Do
thought
you
they
have chud?
were
I'm
still.
pretty sure a chud is the mayor of New York right now.
I mean, Cuomo does look like a chud. I won't.
No, that's your governor. I'm talking
Oh
about De
well,
Blasio.
well, they both look like chuds to me. They probably are. So, I mean, just look at them. Their skin just melts off at time, and you see the glowing eyes.
What city was Midnight Meat Train set in? I have no idea, man. I have no idea. Taz asked that.
I have no idea either.
Home Alone 2, Lost in New York should have Chud, says Strong. Yes, it should. Somebody should fucking.
It has something even better. It has the Donald in it.
It's true, it does. He's the only one that helps poor McAllister.
He
Everybody
does.
else is after him. He's the only one that helps him because he's such a
Yeah.
great guy.
Yes.
Somebody should do an edit where they do like Home Alone and Chud, Home Alone 2 and Chud, and put them together and see
No,
what
no,
you
no.
get.
Put no. Put Home Alone and Chud 2 together.
Uh, how's that even possible?
I don't know. Someone will make it, I'm sure.
Because
But
at least with Lost in New York and Chud, you have Daniel Stern and McAllister, so you can almost get some fun scenes working like that. But the first Home Alone and Chud
no, the
2,
no, the second Home Alone and Chud 2.
not even
Even though
possible. Not
I know,
even
even though
possible, Gene.
I know because fucking Chud 2 set in California.
Who would
That'd be
win
really
a
awkward.
Who would win in a fight, a Tommy knocker or a Chud?
Probably a Chud.
What is a Tommy knocker? An alien,
Yeah.
right? Or
It's
is
kind
that
it's kind of a they're like people that turn into alien things and
well, their
shit.
teeth fall out and shit like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they kind of turn them in, like the aliens use them to dig up the UFO or something.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's been a while since I've seen that miniseries, and I do have the book, but yeah.
I'm sure the book is better, but
Not by much, I'm
not by
sure.
much. Yeah.
You hear that, Stephen? You see that, Stephen King? Eat it.
So I
Choke
guess.
on it.
So,
Come here, Moppy.
so that's Chud.
Yes.
Just a mess of a fucking movie. I can't say it enough.
Yeah, it's a real mess.
It's the only way I could describe it. I
It's like a dumpster full of toxic waste.
like when you're going into it first, you're like, dude, cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers. We're gonna get some good shit here. Mutants
Yeah, how much do you see
in the
them?
sewers of New York. And then you get in there and you're 20 minutes in. I mean, they start off kind of well, right? I can understand doing an off-camera kill to begin with, right? To get you revved up. Like, oh my God, this lady and her dog, they got eaten. This movie's going to be so sweet. And then you're 20 minutes in and you're like, where are the fucking Chud? And then you're 30 minutes in. Where are the fucking Chud? You're an hour in, you finally get to see some fucking Chud. And you barely get to see him through the rest of the whole fucking thing. There's two scenes. It's the scene where he's looking down in the sewers and he sees a bunch of them in there in that pile and they're standing around doing whatever the fuck they're doing. And then there's the scene where she cuts its head off, which is probably the best scene in the whole movie.
Because it's the most gory.
Because it's got the most gore to it. It's an on-screen kill, and you get to see exactly what you go into a movie like Chud expecting to see. Now, this is R-rated, right? Hello?
Actually, sorry, I was
Oh, yeah, you're fine.
yawning there, and I didn't want to talk while I was yawning.
Oh, you're fine. I thought maybe you broke up.
No, I am here. Chud 2 is R-rated. I don't know about Chud 1.
Well, whatever. You know what? Chud is rated R. I have the IMDb open here.
That's also rated R.
Oh, it's rated R, and it's cut like a PG movie
for TV.
for TV, which is what happens in CHUD 2,
Yes.
which we will get to. So what's your rating on CHUD?
My rating on CHUD. If I was
Out of
to
10. Out of
if
10.
out of the 10, I'd almost give it a Joe Bob rating instead like a critic and say a 3.5 stars. 2.5 stars out of 4.
You're gonna go with 2.5 stars out of
So
4.
if I was gonna give it to our normal rating, I'd probably give it like a
Fuck.
4.
That's your rating for it?
No,
Fuck.
no. I would give it a 4. I'd give it a 4 out of 10. That's
Yeah.
generous too.
Yeah, that's a generous rating for CHUD. And still, right now, if somebody said you want to watch CHUD, I'd be like, yeah, go ahead, put it on. I don't know what it is about this film. It's almost like I'm expecting it to be better every time I watch
Yeah,
it,
but it's not.
but it's not. It's not even close. So I'm probably going to go with a 4.2, and that is because, or a 4 as well,
Mhm.
and that is because Daniel Stern is excellent in it.
Yep. There
The
are some good
kid,
actors in it. John Hurt is not one of those good actors in this film.
no, he's not. And it gets a 4 for Daniel Stern, Val, who's really good.
John
The
Goodman.
scene where yes, John Goodman. Well, now it's a 5.
I
I
mean,
forgot about Mr. Goodman.
he's
That's an
barely in it
automatic.
though.
That's an automatic 1 point.
That's an automatic 1 point for you.
Anything with John Goodman, automatic 1 point.
True.
But because
I,
I mean,
I still wouldn't give it a 5. I'm giving it a 4.
okay,
It'd be lower if John Goodman wasn't in it.
very true, very true. Daniel Stern, Val, John Goodman, who's only in it for 2 minutes. He's not even
Oh,
really in it.
I have a very interesting fact about CHUD we forgot to mention as
Oh, go
well.
ahead, go ahead.
The interesting fact about CHUD is that people were talking about the longest time because this film has such a big cult following about how it was going to be released on Blu-ray and DVD with all these extra features by Crichton. They were saying the Criterion Collection was like, "Oh yeah, we'll do it." And then people realized the date
Criterion
was,
releases the worst shit.
but
Yeah,
then
go ahead.
they realized that when they were talking about that, it was April 1st.
Oh, the April Fool's joke. The old April Fool gotcha.
But a month later, it actually was released by I think Arrowhead Productions or whatever they're called.
So it started as a joke and somebody took it seriously.
Yep, and someone actually did do it seriously and release the full Blu-ray collection. I don't know why you'd want to watch this shit on Blu-ray, but go right ahead if you really like CHUD. Or if you really need it. I don't in my life.
I think I can go my entire life without buying a CHUD anything. A
Mhm.
DVD, a VHS, a Blu-ray. I'm kind of upset that I pirated it twice. So I don't even know. Even that was a little too much for me. It's one of those movies where you can go, "Yeah, I've seen CHUD." Yeah, and when somebody's like talking about how much they love it, you can be like, "Have you watched it recently?" Because it's shit. The movie is
Oh,
shit. It's
I
not
forgot about the.
even it's not even fun schlock.
No, it's really not.
Like you really are expecting some schlock when you go into a movie
Mhm.
called CHUD.
Yeah,
And
you expect a lot from this movie, and you really do not get
and
it.
it really does disappoint.
They really, at least for me, they should have done something with the monsters are cool. It's a cool concept for a monster, even though it's just gloves and a fucking mask. That's why they didn't really do much with it. But I don't know. They could have done more, I think, and it could have been a lot more interesting. But they really don't focus on the chuds. It's more about the characters.
Yeah, and I think that's what happens when you get drama people involved with horror.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'll bring up as a big point, too. That's why Joe Bob does not like this movie. It's like, this is what fucking Shakespeare in the Park people do on their off times when they don't have their fucking big, drama pieces. They make a horror movie like this when they can tell because it acts like that. It acts like it does not give a
Yeah.
shit about what's going on. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, great.
it seems like they had no real direction. It was obviously written for the chud. I mean, obviously, but at the same time, it obviously wasn't fleshed out. It felt
No.
very rushed,
Yeah.
even though the movie isn't even 90 minutes. But boy, does it drag the fuck on!
It does.
Holy shit, man! I don't know how many times I'd be watching. I'd be like, this movie's got to almost be over, right? And I check the time. Oh, it's 45 minutes in. Are you kidding me? Let's speed it up. Let's do something. Come on. Where
There's
are
a
the
lot.
monsters?
There's a lot with this movie too. It seems like there are characters in that only make a certain point and then they're gone. Like they don't have any like big point to the entire movie.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Another thing I'll
Most
say,
scenes are like that.
yeah, another thing I'll say too is Joe Bob constantly saying, if you want to see a movie that's like this but way better, you just watch Q. Q the Winged Serpent shows that it's made by someone who actually loves these kind of films and does it right.
Right, which we talked about on our last show.
Yep, we talked about it on
So
the tribute to
Q
King
the
Conan.
Winged Serpent. Yeah, that's a Larry Cohen film. And I would say that Joe Bob is not wrong.
No, it's far superior to this shit.
If you're gonna watch something, you're better off watching Q than you are Chud.
Yeah. Again, Chad, I'm not trying to be too harsh on this film, but it's really
I
not as good
am.
as people.
I
I'm just
don't.
saying that for people that are fans of this, I can get what you see, but I don't think it's worth your cult status of this film.
I'm gonna tell you something right now, and I'm gonna let you sit with it because I'm gonna tell you this, and then I have to go to the bathroom. Okay.
Okay.
I'd rather watch Chud 2 than Chud. There, I said
Ooh.
it. All right, you sit with that. I'll be right back.
I'll sit with you, Chad. I know how you'll feel about that. I'm still not convinced that Joe Bob isn't Gene's dad. Good point, Captain Weeb. Character-driven masterpiece, Chud. It shouldn't be, though. It's a character-motivated film. Drama sexuals, repugnant Chud the 3D Max, 4K Chud when, Jeff Anderson and Randall's favorites insult. Yep. Did call somebody a Chud. I'm looking at you all now, Chad. Gene is beating this movie like it owes him money. I mean, Jenova was more harsh than I was with that last thing. Because I will say I will probably watch Chud over Chud too. Fucking heresy, Jenova. Yeah, I'm looking at you, chat. We're still streaming. He's going to the bathroom. Chud the Chad for 3. I'm just scrolling up a little bit. When will the trilogy be completed? Well, not now, because fucking John Hurd's dead. I mean, they get somebody else, I guess. Michael Moriarty in one of these films would probably be a bad choice. So how you doing, chat? I legitimately like Chud. There's nothing wrong with liking it. I just think it's not that good of a cult film. Just because it drags on way too much. That's what Darcy the Mail Girl said. She likes the film because she finds it fun. I don't know how fun it is. I think it drags too much. I tried to watch Chud yesterday, didn't get very far. Yeah, I can see why people like and dislike it, both reasons. But I don't care for it anymore. I thought this film was better than I thought I really liked this film when I was remembering it, but I do not like it now that I've seen it again. Not as much. It's just it's made by people that do not give a shit about horror because they're all fucking Greenwich in the Village people. You could have more monster action. That's my biggest criticism. Yeah, that's the biggest criticism I have for it too. Especially when the way they basically market it is like, oh, these monsters are going to come out the sewer constantly. All this stuff's happening. But it's more a drama piece with a police procedural going on than anything else. But I think Q does that better with a procedural that's a police themed one with character action drama while having 2 plot points that still are kind of weird. Artsy horror, oy vey. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, how was my comment received? Was it well received?
You were Captain Weeb said fucking heresy, Jenova.
What?
I need to see Q. Yeah, you should see Q. I think you will like it a lot more than Chud, by the way, Captain
Q
Weeb.
Q is great.
Mm-hmm.
Q has this vibe about it. I mean, we talked about it on the last show, but Q's got this vibe about it where you like
I knew we
unlike
were gonna. By the way, I knew we were gonna talk about Chud more than Chud too, so that's why I'm glad we started with that.
oh yeah, because Q I have fun watching,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm interested in the characters. You can tell it was developed properly,
Mm-hmm.
And with Chud, you can tell that. Uh,
Hey man, I got this idea for a movie, right, Jenova?
okay, go ahead.
Well, we go to New York City, and we kick the shit out of chuds, and we call it Chud 3, the Chudning.
I'm in. I'm in. Okay, I will be. Here's what we'll be. We will be the sons of John Hurd and Daniel Stern.
Instead of calling you Revenant, I'll call you Bishop or something, or Knight or something.
I call Daniel Stern's son. You've got to be John Hurd's son.
Okay, so I'll be a sleazy blogger instead of a photographer, and I'll be a cuck.
It works out, right? Because John Hurd, I mean, she's pregnant in that movie.
Yes.
So you could be their son.
Yes.
Chud hunters.
Chud hunters.
Imagine sewers all over the country filled with chud. And like you're not even in like what if you're not even in New York? What if we are in the suburbs, right? Mm-hmm. The suburbs, they've got sewers too. I've been in them. And we could just go down there. All we need is some glowing eyes and a prop hand that we put some glitter on it and we fucking there it is. It's a fucking chud.
Oh, it's so good. Okay.
So let's get flamethrowers, even though they don't work. Oh my god. Green light it. Let's get this done. The chudding.
The chudding, yes.
So
Chud 2. Let's get on to Chud 2.
What did I tell you about talking about movie ideas on stream? So sweet. She's got to remind us. It's because
well, I mean, Daniel Stern's obviously listening in. After the musical, he's going to make this film happen. So, Mr. Stern, we're ready for you. We'll give you the screenplay as soon as you send Jenova an email.
Look, our ideas for movies are fucking gold, and they would be giant hits. They're worse off because we don't make movies.
I mean, that's probably true.
They would have a way better quality of life if we provided them with films. Yep. Okay. Now, before I left, I said I'd rather watch
Chud 2 instead of Chud 1. I'm the opposite way.
So you'd rather watch Chud over Chud 2?
Yes.
Who was it? Was it Strog? Strog, that I tried to watch Chud yesterday, didn't get very far. Was that just regular Chud?
Or was that Chud 2?
Or was that Chud 2? Because earlier today, Gene, and I was going to say this. I thought about this while I was taking my pee-pee. Movies like this, as bad as they are, like when you get a movie like Chud or Chud 2, if you're just watching it by yourself, you're not going to have a good time.
No, but I did not have a good time. I mean, technically, I was with people. I was with the chat.
Right.
Sorry,
if you're with people or you're streaming and you're in a chat or you're at a party, you're going to have a lot better time watching films like this.
Yes.
Trash films like this are way funner in a crowd.
Yes.
So so we watched it and it was a good time. We had fun watching Chud 2.
Yes.
Or at least I fucking did.
It was fun, especially with some of the characters that are in Chud.
Right. And the thing about it is
the Chud, excuse me.
When you make it through a movie like that as a group, you're bonded now. You're closer now because you all went through this terrible experience together and you survived. Which we will be doing more of on this show, by the way.
Yep.
There are some terrible movies coming that I'm pulling out of the vault. So Jenova is getting gay?
Who said that?
Hawk did. All right, I'm shutting this stream down. This is bullshit. Banned. You're banned.
Ban world.
Everybody's
ban world.
banned. Everybody stay back.
Can you imagine being that big of a
Rotor is a terrible film, Groomed, but it's fun to watch in a group. The Virgin Chud versus the Chad Rotor.
Oh god.
The erotica Chud at first sight, says Taz. It's like Sweet says it's like getting through a hostage situation in a bank. You're right. That's a good way to put it. Weeb says thanks for showing that earlier. I would never watched it otherwise.
You're welcome.
Uwe Boll movies are good to make fun of in a group. You're damn right, Strog.
But you
They
can't,
are
because
really
if
good.
you can't make fun of Willy Bull movies, because then he'll basically challenge you to a fight in real life.
He'll box you.
Yes.
I have to say, before we get into Chud too, I'd have to say that I'm on his side in this whole thing, because the critics that he was boxing and kicking their fucking asses were their little fucking beta progressive boys that write for like Rue Morgue and Bloody Disgusting and shit like that. I love watching critics like that get their these guys even admitted that some of them had never even seen the movies they were writing about. It's it's a real fucking look into what a critic like we know them today.
Yes.
It's a real look into who they really fucking are. And they came out there thinking it was a joke, and they came out and like they got their fucking ass whooped. Uwe Boll's nobody to fuck. That dude is, I mean, he's got to be 60 or something now, but I mean, he was trained. He looked like he could handle himself like as a normal dude in a fight. So
I will say this though, despite that's a great thing about him doing that, his movies still suck ass.
Oh, 100%. Hi, Thieves.
Welcome.
UV Bowl movies have. I used to be a fan of House of the Dead, like the arcade that you could play. And when I found out House of the Dead was coming, I was like, oh, this is going to be so sweet. I didn't even know who Bowl was at the time, you know. And then the movie came out, and I went, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, exactly.
What is this? Why? This has nothing to do with the movie. I don't understand what's going on. But I still watched it.
You mean it has nothing to do with the game? The movie has nothing
Oh
to do
yes,
with the
yes,
game.
it has nothing to do with the game. Well, the movie has nothing to do with the fucking. UV Bowl movies are a topic for another show.
Yeah, we'll get to them. We'll get to him eventually, as long as he doesn't box me in the ring because he wants to fight me in real life, making fun of his movies. Hey, Bull, I hate to break it to you. I'm not fighting you in real life for one. I'm just gonna say your movies suck. I've seen them.
IRL. I can't remember what the challenge was. The challenge was like, come down here and fight me. It's like he thinks that if he beats you in the ring, then that makes his movies good.
Yeah, it's still retarded.
And even one of the critics said, like, yeah, he knocked me out, but his movies still suck. Like, I don't. But a lot of them started like changing their tone when they interviewed them. They go, all right, well, maybe I was a little harsh. You know, they got a big knot on the side of their head because he fucking punched them so many times. And they're like, oh well, you know, maybe I was a little harsh. Maybe I'll have to give House of the Dead a rewatch, you know, and stuff like that. And then a kid actually came down there to box him who wanted to be an amateur boxer. He wasn't even a movie critic. And he just came down to get like because
so here's a good question, I guess. Why did Uwe before we actually get off topic forever on Uwe Boll, but so he's classically trained in fighting, right? Why did he become a film director?
Because he found a loophole in the tax thing.
Oh,
because
okay,
it's that whole thing of like, even if his film fails, it doesn't matter because he gets 100% of his money back. It's like he spends all that money he spends, he gets it back. So, and I mean, he probably liked film. You know, a lot of guys, they take boxing just as like a hobby. You know, they just want to know how to defend themselves, and they like to.
For him, it seems to be the filming is the hobby, so he can get money.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
He doesn't know the shit he's talking about with like some of these movies makes House of the Dead a biz, like all this stuff that could have been really cool. But no, let's fuck it up completely and shoot this shit.
Hey Jenova, if you guys decide to watch Blackula or anything like that, I'd be down to watch them. Oh yeah, eventually we'll do some horror blaxploitation because I've seen a few of those. Doesn't matter. Fapped to Blood Rain, says Taz. Yeah,
I mean
that's all you're supposed to do with Blood Rain is fap to it.
That's the only reason. I mean,
the Nazi gold gene, he needed to launder it, says Hawk.
Oh, okay.
Warp says they changed that law because of him.
Oh yeah, that's right.
because he was obviously taking mass advantage. I think it was very similar to the Canadian tax thing that they did in the 80s.
Yeah, I think so, because that's why the
With
Canadian. Yeah, that's why all those Canadian exploitation films came out during the 80s. The
Yeah,
horror ones.
I mean, without him, you wouldn't have gotten things like The Pit or
The Gate.
uh, My Bloody Valentine, shit like that.
The
So
Gate was also in the 80s too.
the Gate stuff like that, and it gave you some good stuff. UV Bowl did not give. I mean, Rampage. The first Rampage is actually probably his best film. He didn't do Postal, did he?
I don't. Maybe he did.
I mean, I know that was like a video game movie. I can't remember if he did Postal, but I think I remember Postal being okay. It's not that bad, but definitely I would say Rampage is probably the best film he's done. Yes, he did. Yes, he did do Postal. Okay, Hawk. The other two Rampages not that good, but
Mhm.
you know. Degrassi High, The Bloody Years. I've talked about this on this show before, but Degrassi is like the worst place you can go to school in Canada because of if it was a real school, because like every year there's like two shootings. Everybody's got AIDS. All the babies are dying. People are getting raped. It's fun. Degrassi is the most horrific place to go to school.
Mhm.
You got counselors all up in your. Look, I was watching an episode of Degrassi one time, and this girl was growing boobs, and she felt really awkward about it, and so she went to go see her counselor to talk about things like that. And the counselor like brought it up before she could. She's like, "Oh, you're wondering about your breasts, aren't you? Yes, they're getting very big." And she was like, "Yeah, how did you know that?" She goes, "It's my job to pay attention to." I'm like, "It's not your job to pay attention to her like that. What the fuck are you doing?" But that's that Canadian schooling. That's why they're so fucking stupid. Um, so
Anyway, let's get off the topic
okay,
of
okay,
all the shit. Let's get
because
to let's get to Bud the Chud.
we've got an hour left, and Chud isn't really going to take us an hour to go through.
No, Bud the Chud will not take us an hour to get through.
So our next film is Chud 2, Bud the Chud. Now, I'm going to admit to a mistake that I made that Gene corrected me on earlier.
Yes.
So I said Bud. His name's Bud. He's a zombie and he's military. This has to be related to Day of the Dead somehow, right? I said there's got to be an homage, but I can't find anything. And then you corrected me and said in the zombie in Day of the Dead is Bub, not
Yes.
Bud.
Yes.
Which is only a flip of the B. You know, you only flip it to the B.
That's probably why. That's probably why they named him that, though, because it is easy.
Yes, it's got to be some sort of nod to Day of the Dead, while also at the same time they were like, we'll flip it, we'll make it Bud, and Bud rhymes with Chud. It's genius.
Oh, right, I forgot to mention this too. It's the bigger thing about this movie, right? So the reason this is called Chud 2, Bud the Chud, is because the original thing was that the people who made the first film were given the idea to greenlight a second film.
Oh yeah, who gave him that idea? Drugs and alcohol?
Probably. I mean, the studio said they made money in the home market. That's why they made $3 million. They made $3 million back from this movie, from the first Chud.
Of course, because most people were watching Chud. They went to go see Chud for the poster.
Mm-hmm. It was also because of the cult status it was getting to. So
fuck off. Fuck off. I hate these movies so much.
So yeah. So they were gonna get this whole thing about making another movie, right? But then it was like the studio changed their mind at the last minute, saying, "Yeah, no, we're gonna not do that." So they gave the name to somebody else and said, "Oh yeah, write the script for this and make it whatever you want."
Ed Naha or whatever his name is.
Yes, Ed Naha, the guy who did
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Yeah, he's got some other credits. He's got some weird like uncredited things.
Yeah.
Like he wrote Doll Man and Demonic Toys, but when you look at those films, Charles Band gets the thing for them.
Yeah, I think it's because Charles actually came up with the stuff, and Ed was one of his supervisors during it.
Okay. But Naha has, I mean, he's got some films that like he's probably still raking in. I don't know if he's still alive or not, but he's probably, if he is,
He is still alive. Yes,
he's probably still raking in the royalties.
I
Honey,
don't
I
think
Shrunk the Kid is.
he also helped he actually did help band right Doll Man versus Demonic Toys.
Yeah, which we will be talking about Full Moon at some point as well.
Yes, we will. That will be next week, next
Yes,
Wednesday.
next Wednesday we'll be talking about Full Moon. So let's start with. Sorry, it's the CHUD. I'm sorry, it's turning into phlegm. So we start CHUD 2 in another meeting,
Yes.
and Robert Vaughn is there.
Yes, Robert Vaughn is there. One of the best
Current-
actors in this movie, by the way.
Right, and still does not do a great job.
No.
So he's Colonel Masters or something. His name
Something
is
like that, yeah. General Masters, I think, is the actual
General something. Whatever the fuck, who cares? And they're talking about CHUD.
The CHUD program.
The CHUD program and how it's and what they were basically doing is they were seeing if they could use the CHUDism or the CHUD disease or whatever to make super soldiers for the war.
Yeah, because so apparently it was a government like program shit now. Apparently, I have no idea. This does not connect to the first movie at all. CHUD doesn't mean anything of what it means in the first movie.
Well, I think what they took from the first one was that if you get bit by a CHUD, you turn into a CHUD.
Pretty
But
much.
they're not. We couldn't find the budget. I couldn't
No.
find it. I looked everywhere and I just could not find a budget for this movie. And the reason I brought up the budget is because the effects, the makeup, and the practical effects are fucking terrible.
Yes, they are.
It's like some pale makeup and some teeth. That's really all they've got.
This, you know what's actually funny too, Jenova?
Mm-hmm.
That this movie is 84 minutes long. It's shorter than it's only shorter than the other one by 4 minutes.
And well, it feels just as long as the other one does.
Yes, it does.
Still feels. I'm 40 minutes in. I think I've been watching it for 2 hours. Enough already. Get on with it. I would say the best part of this movie though is Garrett Graham.
Yes.
He's good in everything he does. Phantom of the Paradise and Terror Vision.
You know what's really
stuff like
what's really funny about Garrett Graham too? In Terror Vision, not Terror Vision, in Phantom of the Paradise, he does think about coming back from the dead as like a rock and roll zombie kind of thing. And that was before this movie. That was like a year or two before this movie.
Yeah. Thieves brings up a good point. Can you find a budget if it doesn't exist? That's how I felt watching the movie. Like, oh, they just scraped up whatever money they could and was like, all right. And then like, I mean, you've got to pay Robert Vaughn, right? Like,
Yeah,
Robert Vaughn probably had the biggest check.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Garrett probably got a decent sized check too.
Right, but Robert Vaughn was like the biggest name in the movie. Definitely the biggest name. You went from the man from Uncle to this.
And yeah, you're right. It's Colonel Masters is actually his name, not General.
Oh, is it Colonel Masters?
Yes.
I couldn't remember if it was. It didn't fucking matter. I just was trying to. So when we're talking about him later, we can define him through a common name.
Masters.
Yes. So they talk about the CHUD, and then they have to go in, and they sort of have to
kill him.
They have to kill them. Yes.
The last CHUD, the one that they have, which is Bud.
The last of the Chudhekins.
The Chudhekins.
So bad. What a bad joke. Just let it sit there. Just let it sit there and bomb.
Don't worry, because this movie has even worse jokes.
That's true. There were a couple times where I laughed a little bit, which we'll get to. But eventually we're at a school, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're in like a biology class.
Yes.
And that's where we meet our three main characters.
Yep, we meet Kevin, Steve, and Katie.
Kevin, Steve, and Katie. Okay, Kevin's the nerd with the glasses.
Yes.
Steve is Mullet Man.
Yep. So you want to talk about who Steve is, by the way? Because it's interesting what you told me that he is doing now.
Steve is a producer now. And he has produced a lot of shit. And his most recent movie that he's working on, that he's producing, is the Rugrats live action film, which
And
is
who
set to come out in 2021.
and who also is in this film, Jenova? That has anything to do with the Rugrats.
I believe his name is Jack Riley,
Yes, it's Wade
and he
Williams.
is the voice of Tommy Pickles from the Rugrats.
He's the voice of Stu Pickles.
He's the voice of Stu Pickles from the Rugrats.
Yes.
So what I basically said is that producer of Rugrats live action film stars in movie with Rugrats voice actor 20, 30 years before the Rugrats live, like before that guy even got into producing. And before he even knew he was going to produce, like he was in a movie with the guy who did the voice of Stu Pickles, which I don't even think Rugrats was around at that point yet.
No.
I think Rugrats shows up like late 90s or something. So neither of them know how involved they are going to eventually be with Rugrats.
Yep.
Which is funny because that's weird. We get two people from Home Alone in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get two people from Rugrats or connected to Rugrats in the second one.
Yes. Just let that sit.
What's happening? I don't understand. Okay. All right. So they're in biology class, the three of them. Oh, what's the girl's name?
Katie.
Katie. Okay. So Katie, Steve, and Kevin, right?
Yes.
And they're doing something with frogs. They're like dissecting frogs or something. And they use Steve uses electricity to bring one back.
The frog wasn't dead. It was just laying there.
Okay.
It just jumps away. He basically lights a fire by doing that too. They puts chemicals on it to start a bigger fire.
Right. Which Kevin tells him not to.
Yeah, Kevin knows.
Kevin goes,
no,
don't do that, and he does it anyway. And then there's a big fire, and they basically fail biology class.
Yep. Because they have to stay and clean up everything and basically do all the stuff with the sorting. And don't forget the fact that it's mentioned too that there's a cadaver. That's what people are going to be, examining in high school. They get a cadaver.
See, that's the other thing. These cadavers, right? Because one of the cadavers is our CHUD. It's Bud.
Well, here's the whole thing: is that cadaver they basically fuck around with. It gets pushed out of the school, then they have to go chase after it. It's only one cadaver. It was going to be just a show of the human body.
Okay, but our cadaver is Bud, right?
No, you have to replace the cadaver. They basically end up pushing down the street because they knock it out.
Right.
And they go to the chemical research facility of all places to go get it, where Bud's frozen body was taken.
There's a place where they keep dead bodies. Let's go in there and steal one.
Yeah, except it's not a place where you would keep dead bodies.
I've done that once or twice when I was a kid. Steal a dead body. Let me tell you, hilarity ensues when you steal a dead body. It's just fun and games, just a lot of crazy antics. So they have to go in there and they get Bud and they're stealing him, and eventually they make it home.
Yes, right? They dress him too. They put him back in his military clothes and everything else.
Right. They dress him, they put him in his military clothes, and then they're dragging him through the door of Steve's house.
Yes.
And Steve's parents aren't paying attention because they're watching penguins fuck.
They're watching
National Geographic or something. Right. Yes. Right. So they take him upstairs.
And he has Kevin distract them too. He takes him downstairs actually first, but he can't because the poodle's in the way.
Right. The stupid fucking poodle.
The toy poodle that he kicks down the stairs.
That he kicks the dog down the stairs, which is worse than killing a dog in a movie, by the way.
Yeah. That was rough to watch.
I'd rather you kill it than just kick it. Especially a little poodle like that. So they take it upstairs and eventually they end up in the bathroom with it.
Yep. Steve ends up in the bathroom with it. Yes.
He
puts it in the tub.
Right, which already has water in it, which we were like, what the fuck? Why is there already water? But then we find out
his mom was making a bath.
A couple minutes later, his mom was trying to take a bath before dinner. But for some reason, he picks up the dryer.
Yes, he's like, drying off his face, then predictably drops it.
Then he gets scared by his mom or something at the door, and he drops the thing into the water. The electricity brings Bud back.
Yes.
A lot of screaming starts to happen, and the parents still don't know what's going on.
No, they do not.
They don't hear anybody screaming or anything like that.
No.
And then what happens? Then where do we go from there? Because this is this is the thing with CHUD. I cannot keep all these scenes straight. I do not fucking know. Chronologically, I don't know the scenes.
So what happens with Bud is he tries to go like attack them out of the tub, right? But he slips and falls because he's wet. And so they put him back in the basement and lock him in the basement.
Okay, he eventually gets out of there, though.
Yes, he does. But they basically say, "Oh yeah, well, we're gonna go and meet Katie at the fucking burger place. We'll go eat there."
Right.
Remember how that burger place looks? It's got the stupid cow head on and everything else.
That's true. And then there's like a cop sitting behind them.
Yes.
There's like an extra, and then while they're talking about the dead body they stole.
Yes.
Doesn't everyone steal bodies as kids, as we? I would hope so. It's a rite of passage when you're a child. So eventually, Bud starts chasing the dog around the house because Bud is hungry.
Yes, Bud is hungry, and he basically does eat the dog in a bush.
He eventually makes his way outside chasing the dog, and the whole time this is happening, he's like doing it near Steve's parents. He's
like growling
dinner.
and making noise, yes, and she thinks it's him when his mouth isn't talking, and that's not his voice, but okay.
Right, she doesn't know what her husband sounds like.
Must be a happy marriage, that one.
Exactly. Well, they're sitting on the couch watching penguins fuck. It doesn't get much better than that. So that's what everybody's got to look forward to in their old age.
So yeah, he does that. Actually, no. What happens first, though, is if I remember correctly. He goes up to Steve's room. He goes back up to Steve's room when he's chasing the dog, and he finds a picture of Katie, and he sees them, and she basically falls in love with Katie at first sight, thinking, "Oh, this is the one for me," as a zombie.
Right, and it's a picture of Katie with Steve and Kevin
in that weird swimsuit you see her in later.
Yes, and he rips off Kevin and Steve, and he's just got this picture of Katie.
Yep, and then he starts chasing after the dog again, and then he gets the dog outside.
He gets the dog.
A big thing with
eat the fucking dog, by the way.
He bites its brain and eats that.
He's hungry. So okay. So let me get this straight.
Okay.
The CHUD in the first one
were cannibalistic,
but throw away the heads and don't eat the dogs.
Yeah.
So the CHUD were not eating brains in the first one, but in this one they're eating. They keep saying they want meat, but they're just eating the brains.
Yes.
All right. What the fuck is going on? Who are we sure the same people did not make this movie that made the first one?
No, they did not. It's a different director.
Maybe the guy who wrote it saw something that we didn't see. He goes, "Oh, I get what they're trying to do. It's just supposed to be nonsensical." I don't know. I don't know. Okay. So he eats the dog. The dog becomes a rabid French poodle. Or whatever the fuck they say, because you hear it on the fucking radio. There's like APBs going out about
a rabid poodle.
A rabid poodle that's attacking people in the neighborhood. I don't know where we go after that, but eventually we catch up with Bud again, who's looking in a woman's window, and she's aerobiciding.
Mm-hmm.
And she's
looks like more than anything else.
Yeah. She's got her leopard print spandex on. Yeah. And she's actually wearing the black part of her outfit is the same as Katie's bathing suit.
Yes.
So I don't know what the fuck was going on in the fucking 80s like that. Mm-hmm. But later, Weeb. Thanks for coming out, man. Hold on, let me bring up CHUD 2 here because the first CHUD is in 84. This one is in 89. Mm-hmm. And they see the girl. So they see this woman doing her aerobics through the window.
Yes.
And eventually she's yelling at the lady on television because the lady's like, "Oh, we work out because we feel good." She's like, "Shut up, you slut."
No, she calls her basically an anorexic neo-Nazi.
An anorexic neo-Nazi leotard wearing slut. Yes. Okay. You've never had an ounce of fat on your body, bitch. Like she is mad. So
she basically says after the whole thing that she's gonna smoke and order a pizza too.
Yeah, which
kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah. Well, as Louis C.K. once said, he goes, "I run 5 miles so then I can go to McDonald's and eat like a pig." Like that's why you do. That's why you work out so you can eat like that.
Or have a hypermetabolism like me and never worry about it ever.
You and your hyper metabolisms. You people, you're up against the wall. I'm telling you, we're done. I'm tired of being fat shamed by your metabolism.
Well, maybe have a good one instead of a shitty one.
Oh my god, I can't have a good. I'm Italian. What do you want from me?
Okay, Wario. Anyway, so basically she goes outside to feed the cat was the whole thing, and then she sees
right,
Bud
she
and she's
stops to
flirting
go
with him.
feed. Right, exactly,
And
then,
Bud keeps having these great facial expressions when she asks him the stuff like, "Oh, are you heterosexual?"
she asks him. She's like, "Oh, look at you've got big feet." Oh, and then she
Big
looks
hand.
up at him and she's like, "Oh, are you heterosexual?" And he's like, like because he doesn't say much in the movie.
No.
My favorite one is when what she asks after that. She goes, "Well, you got a job?" And he kind of is. He's like, kinda." Like he doesn't know. It's one of the best parts of that movie, which is sad. It's very sad. Like Decker was saying, "Hey, there are some good jokes in this movie, but
that is one of them. But
they're trampled on by all the trash, all the other fucking terrible."
Oh, you mean like this great joke here? Oh, I wonder if he goes to a Grateful Dead concert.
Oh, where is he? Where would you go if you were a dead body? I don't know. Grateful Dead. Shut up. Grateful Dead suck. I'm tired of hearing about them. just mentioning them is enough. Tired of them. So then he picks this girl up. He picks up the aerobics lady.
Bites her
because she sees his teeth, and they're just the CHUD teeth are real jaggedy and fang like. I guess that's a side effect.
Yep. Besides the cannibalism.
Right. And then
except he's not a cannibal because he eats brains, but whatever.
Does human brain count? I mean, it is human brain, so
I know, but I mean, he ate the dog first, so he's not really a cannibal. That throws it out the window when they're trying to eat animals.
I think much like CHUD, we're thinking too deep into this fucking movie. We're looking for things that they didn't even think about when they were making it. So
yeah.
So he picks her up by her shoulders and lifts her off the ground.
And bites
for
her
a
head.
second, I thought he was going to bite her tits off.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently, he could have just. He's taller than her, so he could have just ate her. Right? He could have just ate her head. He didn't have to pick her up, but for some reason he picked. I guess to show how strong he is.
I guess
because eventually he like
all he ever does is take a nibble out of people and they mutate. So
yeah, well, I guess they try to explain it. I've seen them try to explain it that he's building a CHUD army on purpose, but
it doesn't really seem like on purpose.
No, because his whole goal is to find food.
Yep.
And then he just keeps creating more and more CHUDs that their whole goal is to find food.
Yes.
But they never get food. All they ever get is more CHUDs looking for food. It's fucking stupid.
Yes, it is.
So
are you still sure you want to watch this one over the first one?
I'll tell you. I'll give a final after we go through this. At the end of the show, I'll decide. As of right now, maybe.
Maybe it's
before when we finished CHUD. When we finished talking about CHUD, I was like, no, yeah, I'd rather watch CHUD too. Now maybe. Now that we're
Mr. Flip Flop here.
What can I tell you? Yes, basically she gets a hickey and suddenly CHUD. You're right, Sweets.
And then she's looking for a cat to eat too.
Yes, yes, because it's almost instant, right?
Yes.
He bites her.
She falls. She
falls down, and she's already a CHUD.
Yep.
Like it's wow, that's quick.
Fast.
Like I'm surprised you even have to bite somebody. I'm surprised like just physical contact doesn't do it. You know?
Yeah, it seems like it almost would.
So where do we go after that?
After that, let me see if I remember correctly. I'm going to use Cliff Notes here.
Go ahead, because
Oh, by the way, here's how Wikipedia tries to make sense of this movie.
Oh, great. Okay, I'd love to hear this one.
At the start of the film, the U.S. government has ordered a branch of U.S. military to discontinue the testing on the CHUD project, which was built around the idea that that the enzyme taken from the sewer-dwelling creatures from CHUD can make hyper-effective killing machines for the army. Why would you
Right.
think that?
Which
For reasons
there's nothing to lead to that, but
No, for reasons that are unclear with those who watched the film, a certain Bud Oliver, the last specimen of the experiment who has become known as Bud the Chud, is hidden away in the centers of disease control, often in small town America. California is not small town America. For which a
it's
trio
true.
of bung- bungling teenagers steal him and accidentally awaken him doing so. Bud escapes and begins to forge a Chud army, which
Yeah,
is completely by accident.
which is by accident. Yes.
So most of we don't really have to cover scenes.
Well,
Uh,
eventually we end up at the burger joint.
Yeah, we go back to the
Not
burger
the
joint
cow,
again.
not the. I don't know if it's the same cow print one or whatever.
It is, yes.
Okay, so they go in there to get food. Our Steve, Kevin, and Katie, they go in there to get food.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. They basically lose Bud. They go the whole night searching for him, but then they like give up halfway through, just going like, he's probably gone. We'll search for him in the morning. I'm tired. Let's
Yes,
go
they give up
home.
very easily. Actually,
Yes.
they're not really that worried about it. They're like, "Fuck it, who
Yep.
cares?" And the government starts to investigate.
Yep.
There's something in there where the government is like, "What happened to this body? Where'd the body go?"
Oh yeah, and they figure out who the kids are and go
They
like, oh
figure
yeah,
out who the kids are, and they're after them. They're
yes,
going to find these people.
yes,
And somehow we end up at the burger joint again. The kids go in, they get their food, and as they leave or while they're in the car, the Chuds drive up.
yes. But remember before that,
Oh no,
Jenova.
no, 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 no. After he eats the aerobics lady, then he's on the street and he gets that guy behind the dumpster and
Yes, he does.
he takes his suit
Yes,
jacket.
he does. And remember what happens when he does that? The music starts playing.
Right.
Bud the Chud.
Dun, dun, bud. Not as great of a soundtrack as the original film,
No.
but I'm okay with Bud the Chud. It's not bad.
I wish it
They
wasn't in the movie like 4 times.
Yes, they play it so fucking much because I think that's the only fucking song they had for the
It's either
movie.
they play it or they play the instrumental version parts of it.
Oh. So he eats that guy. Then because before they roll up to the burger place, uh, first of all, the Chud are driving.
Yes.
They're all hanging out of a.
Actually, one sec, I'm gonna be right back. I gotta do
All
something
right,
real quick.
I'm gonna continue.
Go right ahead.
So the Chud are driving, and I don't know why the Chud have they can drive. I guess. I mean, even in like because they're supposed to be zombies, but they don't call them zombies. They call them Chud, but they act just the way zombies are. And even in zombie movies where you get zombies that can operate guns or zombies that can talk or feel or run, shit like that, I've never seen them drive before. I'm sure there's a zombie movie out there where there's some sort of convoluted way where it looks like the zombies driving, but it's really not. But these zombies are actually driving. They've all piled into a truck and they've all gone to a burger joint looking for food. And our heroes, Katie, Kevin, and Steve, they are sitting in the parking lot eating their food that they just got from the burger joint. And while this happens, the truck pulls up, the Chud get out right next to their fucking car, and nobody notices them. And they're not even backed into their parking space, so the rear of the car is facing the burger joint. No, 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 no. They are facing the burger joint. The front of the car is looking right at the burger joint, and they're looking forward. And while the Chud are in there, they start eating everybody in there or attacking everybody in there. And our heroes don't notice any of this commotion going on, and they drive away. Ridiculous shit. It's not even comedy. It's just incompetence in your filmmaking and your script writing. Whoever set that up, I have no fucking idea, but they just weren't trying. Either the paycheck wasn't big enough for them, or they said, fuck this. This is the only movie I'm ever going to do because I hate this fucking industry. Now, as our heroes drive away, our Colonel Masters and his sidekick whose name is Graves. They had just visited Steve's house looking for Steve, and they threaten his parents and they tell him, look, we know where Steve is. We're coming for him. We're going to get him. Bud was blown away by a toilet, but he can drive. Yes. Thank you, Cindy. I don't know what the fuck is going on. Nobody thought that far ahead. It was just like, okay, well, what are we doing in this scene? Okay, well, it's like they were making it up as they go.
Yes,
so as
I'm back, by the way. Sorry about that.
Okay, so as our heroes
took a minute to use the bathroom.
As our heroes drive off, Colonel Masters and Graves pull into the parking.
Yes, and they pick up the RPG.
Right, but before that, they don't even notice what's going on. They hear something. They hear the cook come out of the back and start yelling at the child. What do you guys want? I'll buy you a hamburger. Stop messing the place up. Like
it's not. It's not. That's not the cook. I don't think that is the cop that goes in there too. Because there are cops that go in there saying that.
Whoever the fuck it is. Who gives a shit? It could be fucking Anne Frank.
Jenova, I thought you said you liked this movie more than the first one, and now you're complaining more. What?
Look, the more we talk about it, by the end of this, I'm going to be like, I don't want to watch any of these fucking movies.
If you were forced either a gunpoint or CHUD 1 or CHUD 2, what would you take?
Oh, fuck me. CHUD 2.
You keep saying CHUD 2, but would you?
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you the very first reason that popped up into my head. It's shorter than CHUD. That's why I would pick
by
CHUD
4
2.
minutes.
By 4 minutes, it's shorter, and I will take that over. In this movie, 4 less minutes is a saving grace.
All right.
Do I have to watch the credits?
Yes.
Fuck. Yes, still CHUD, because there's an end scene at the end of the credits in CHUD.
Yes, there is.
CHUD 2, I mean.
Oh, yes, there is.
There's an end credit scene where Bud's head shows up.
Yep.
Okay, so we've got 30 minutes. So they roll in, they see what's going on, and they, like you said, they grab the RPG and they just blow up.
Oh, by the way, that's a great thing about that too. Instead of just randomly opening the Chrysler back, they shoot it open. So.
Oh, remember? Yes. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. I'm going crazy. I'm going crazy just going back through these movies. I swear to fucking God, I'm losing my fucking mind here. So they blow it up. So they blow up the burger joint, right?
Mm-hmm.
With an RPG, and all the chuds start standing up. Because there's a bunch of them there.
Yeah, they're not hurt by an explosion now. So
yes. Explosion doesn't work against the CHUD, but they were going to blow them up in the first.
All right, remember the subplot, by the way, with the poodle, and the poodle bites the mailman, and then the mailman
yes
gets to the morgue where the doctor's drunk, and then he bites the drunken doctor, and then they leave.
Right, and then Bud goes for a haircut and bites the barber. And then they get turned into a barber. And then the mailman and the barber are walking around town, and it's
not the mailman and the barber. It's the mailman and the morgue, dude. The barber basically, they Graves and Masters see the barber and say, "This is the ugliest thing I've seen in my life." They don't even take it as a CHUD. The ugliest human specimen I've ever seen in my fucking life.
Eventually, Steve, Katie, and Kevin, they eventually become aware that the chuds are walking around, right?
Yep, they go to that bar, and that's where that happens. And they find Bud. Bud confronts them, and he's like trying to see Katie and all this other stuff, but then they interrupt.
Yes.
And then it's like he punches, remember, because the other chud tries to go forward to eat them. That was the farmer that shoots them with a shotgun. Doesn't do anything.
That's where I was trying to get. I was trying to get to the scene where they're in the barn.
Yes.
Because they get them into the barn. And they're all standing there, and this is when Bud and Katie come face to face for the first time.
Yes. And
Bud is in love with Katie. He wants her very bad. I mean, she's smashable, definitely.
I think the yoga lady was better. Personally.
Yoga lady was smashable too. I'm not gonna lie. And while they're in the barn, They're like eating some of the animals, right?
Kinda,
That
yeah.
are in the barn.
They're
I mean,
holding
as
that.
much as anybody eats anybody in this movie.
I mean, they don't really eat the animals; they're like holding them. And then the farmer comes in with a shotgun, shoots that one chud. Then Bud bites him, and he becomes one too. But then, like, he tries to go forward to eat. Like, either he tries to go forward, or another chud tries to go forward to eat them, and then Bud just punches that guy's head right off, and he's trying to go after it.
Yeah. That's one of my. I like that scene because Bud just moves his. It doesn't look like there's any force involved with the way he
Nope.
moves his arm. He moves his arm, hits this guy in the head, and his head just comes tumbling off.
So
And I
that's
mean,
the
he's a
funny.
chud, so
Yeah, that's the funny thing. So they're supposed to have super powered brains. How's that work when your head's rolling down and you can't do anything with it?
wait, they
Shouldn't
have
you just be
super
dead?
powered brains.
Yes. They mentioned that several times throughout this thing. It's like their brains are supercharged. That's why they're back from the
Supercharged to
dead.
do what?
Be back from the dead.
Oh, okay. So it's not like they're smart.
No.
All right, so the
I mean
brains are
they
working.
are kind of intelligent zombies for what they are, but they're not.
The brains are working overtime to keep the body running.
Yes.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't. Do we even see that chud ever again? Isn't there a scene where he's fixing their heads?
Yeah, Bud fixes his head. He puts it back on him. And that's when the military
How?
basic I don't know. He just puts it back on him. Don't ask too many questions about these movies, you know.
Brain hurty. My
Yeah,
brain hurts.
so
Um,
that so then they freeze that one farmer Chad that tries to go after them because
that
it's
yes,
and then he blows up their car because reasons.
yes, because they need explosions.
I guess I don't know.
I guess what Chud one Chud's got one explosion
Yeah,
at the end. This has two at least,
yeah.
right?
I mean,
Uh,
there's also the explosion of what happens to that the professor who basically becomes a Chud too. But
right. Oh, you know what we forgot to mention?
hmm.
This is around Halloween.
Yes, it is, and you see it several times throughout the film.
You
That
see it
talks
several
about
times, and as a matter of fact, the third act, basically, the whole thing takes place on Halloween.
yes,
Because
and
there's
Robert
the
Englund shows
whole.
up at a certain point, which we missed.
I mean, they say he shows up, but was he there? We
Yeah,
didn't see him.
I saw it in Deckard's review of Chud 2. He does show up. I just don't remember the
Okay, he
exact scene.
shows him. Okay.
Yeah.
Jenova, you're expecting clarity you're not going to get, says Cindy. I know. Later, Warped. Thanks for coming on, man. Yeah, you're right. I'm looking for. I should have learned my lesson with Chud, but I didn't, and I came into Chud 2, giving it a. Is that okay? I'm gonna give it a fresh. Maybe there's more to this movie than meets the eye. Maybe it's not as bad, but I was wrong. Okay, I admit it. I was wrong. I'm sorry. I've made a grave mistake. I'm so glad we watched it on your stream and I didn't have to watch it by myself.
You'd be so depressed if you watched this by yourself.
I would be here right now like, yeah, so I watched Chud 2. I mean, it's got Garrett Graham, so I guess that's all you can do with it.
I mean, it's got Jack Vaughn too, but
Yes, true. Okay, so eventually there's trick-or-treating, there's shit happening. We might as well just get straight to the high school, the dance, because
Yep.
this is the climax.
This is where the comedy happens the most too, especially with the whole, the zombies are trying to eat all the people and they can't even touch them as they're dancing.
Because they're dancing. Now, before they even get in there,
Oh, the ticket thing, yeah, that's a good one.
they need to pay for their tickets. It's $3 each, but they don't have them. And this lady, she don't want no trouble.
Mm-hmm. The dog
But the
can't
dog's
come
got to
in.
stay outside.
Okay, the dog can come in.
All right, the dog, and then they kind of just look at her and look at each
crack
other.
their knuckles.
Yeah, they crack their knuckles and their
They go
necks
like,
a little bit, and then they all jump her. I don't know if we
don't really see it.
Why am I even okay? I was just gonna say I don't know if we really need that, but it's Chud 2, so like Cindy just said, I'm looking for clarity, and there's just nothing there.
Also, don't forget the fact where we did miss the fact where Graves basically gets overtaken by the Chud as well when he's trying to help them out. When they talk about the whole thing,
because he eventually shows up later when we get to the pool scene.
Yep, because he's also a zombie.
Right. Yes. Which
sorry,
is Larry.
Sorry, he's a Chud.
That's Larry Cedars. I know him mainly from Deadwood. He was in Deadwood, but I'll tell you what else you might know him from.
Go ahead.
Do you remember the remake of the Twilight Zone movie?
Yeah.
Do you remember the thing at 50,000 feet or 30,000 feet or whatever it is?
Yeah.
He's actually the goblin on the wing. They dress him up in a suit and like he's actually the thing on the wing. So those are the two places that I know him from. I know he's in other stuff. He's a character actor. He usually like even in Deadwood, he plays almost the same type of character he plays in this. He just plays like a bumbling sort of
A bumbling smart guy.
assistant, sort of like nerd that people don't really take seriously, kind of thing. So
Come here, Moppy.
so we're in the school. They eat the ticket lady. I guess they eat. We can't assume they eat anybody.
Well, I mean, they did quote unquote turn her into a chud too. So
Okay, so nobody gets eaten in this movie. Nobody. You get a little bite, a little prick, and now you're a chud instantly.
The only thing that really happens, and the only gore we ever see, besides Bud's head coming off and them smashing that later at the climax of this, is the fact when they skewer the teacher's head through the beaker.
Yes, that's true. Because while everybody's at the party, they are downstairs for their biology teacher, right? And I don't know how he became a chud.
Something bit him, I guess.
Maybe it was the dog.
Maybe.
But then they have to fight with the teacher, and this is where they figure out how to defeat the chud. And it's probably the best gore scene for this whole movie, which is where they impale his head on that little fucking
the beaker, like I was saying,
the beaker thing that's attached to the table.
Yes.
And they just and it's not a bad shot. I mean, they slowly push it down, and it slowly comes out through his forehead.
So that's why this got an R rating, huh? Okay.
I would imagine that's why it's got an R rating.
That's pretty weak for an R rating.
There's no drinking. There's no drugs. There's no nudity. There's one shot where the beaker goes through the guy's head. There's a couple blood splatter scenes, but I mean, you would get that. I mean, what Jaws was like PG-13 or some shit, right?
I thought that was rated R too.
I think when Jaws first came out, it was PG-13 or PG something.
Maybe. I don't know.
I could be wrong on that, but I think originally it's rated PG-13.
Gotcha.
How did they find out how to defeat the biology teacher?
Because it's what Kevin says. He says like, oh, because their bodies are frozen, and when you supercharge the supercharged brain with more electricity while frozen, it blows them up.
Okay, right. So they freeze them using, what is it, nitrous oxide?
Yes. But then they realize, oh, the freeze gun that's what the freeze guns use, so we need that. We also forgot to mention in the barn, too, that Master says, like, the chuds are evolving, because that's what they do, they mutate and evolve. And let's not forget the scientist who says, like, it's like a plague and an infection and all this other stuff, which does not sound like anything the chuds were.
Where's the evolution?
Because it's basically unthawing itself by changing its atoms, is what he was saying.
No, it's not.
It's just a hot day in California.
It's just a hot day in California. It's melting. Did you ever got an ice cream cone on a summer's day? Jesus Christ, what is going on here? I swear to God, there's a whole show. My brain hurts. It hurts. Okay. So yeah, I see no evolution at all. They say that, but then they really don't show it. I mean, I guess you could say they're changing their atoms or whatever. We know it's the sun.
I know. That's what I said too in the whole thing. I was doing like, that's just the sun. What are you kidding?
Yeah. You live in California. Relax. It's not evolution. So then,
what are you wondering about, Mom?
So they put the electricity on the biology teacher, and when they do this, these giant holes of light start piercing through his body,
and then he explodes.
Yes, and then he explodes. Boom. Now, so they come up with an idea to lure all the chud to the pool area right? And while this is going on, the CHUD are trying to get their hands on the people at the party, but they can't because they're dancing and all this
that
stuff.
crazy 80s dancing is why they can't get the teenagers.
But I think something eventually happens, and it kind of sends the party into a bit of a chaos.
The thing that does is the fact that Katie goes in with her swimsuit saying, "Hey, all you creeps, you want a piece of the loot?"
Right. And that's their plan to lure them to the pool.
Yes.
Right. So they get them to the pool, and she's in the pool.
Yeah, she has to swim.
And
But
they're all right.
The first thing that's so funny is that they're supposed to be prepared beforehand, right?
Right.
The door's locked, so she can't get in there.
Of course. Worst. Somebody was watching it with us. I think they're here right now. But somebody said the worst nerds ever.
Yeah.
They're nerds that don't know how to nerd.
Well, I mean, Kevin's the only nerd. Katie just likes him. She's kind of a geeky girl, I guess. And
Girls
Steve
can do things too, okay?
and Steve is just a fuck up.
Yeah, Steve just has a mullet. I don't know why Steve is there. Is he supposed to be Katie's boyfriend?
No, he's not.
Right. So Katie's just friends with these two dudes.
Yeah, they've been friends for like ever, apparently. Except Kevin does have feelings for her.
Oh my god, I just remembered the ending to this movie. I just remembered the fucking ending of this movie. Oh. Okay. I was like, oh, we're on the pool scene. Like, we're really no. Okay, so she gets everybody into the pool.
Mm-hmm.
They start dumping the nitrous, nitrous oxide?
Yeah, the canisters that.
Yes, they start dumping the canisters and everything, which they can't. They can barely open them. By the way, like Kevin's over there, like I can't do it. Somebody open this for
actually,
me.
the thing was that he asked Steve beforehand. He's like, "Steve, did you lose him?" Like, "Oh, sorry, man, I forgot."
Steve,
Really?
why are you here? Your mullet will not save you. The mullet is glorious, by the way. I just want to point that out. It's kind of like a cherry curled mullet too. What's up with that? It's fucking weird. So they get him in the pool. Like we said, they start tossing all the nitrous oxide canisters into the pool, and they start to freeze.
Except before that happens, Steve gets bit by one of them.
Right. While this is happening, one of them makes a final lunge to Steve, and they bite him like right on the foot.
Yes.
Which we don't even they kind of like gloss over it. It's kind of just something that happens, and then we don't really hear about it until the end, which I had just remembered. Bud is not in the pool. Bud makes it out of the pool because he's chasing Katie.
He's the strongest of the chuds.
Right. He's still
freezing slightly.
Still freezing slightly, exactly. But he's kind of doing that's another thing. He's kind of like a Frankenstein.
I bet, yes.
In this movie. Like, I think that's kind of why they give him the jacket. Because it makes him look more Frankenstein. Which I think he played Dr. Frankenstein in a movie.
May have. I don't remember.
I think Garrett played Dr. Frankenstein in a film. But he played Dr. Frankenstein in a movie, and then he played a Frankenstein-esque zombie monster in CHUD 2, I guess. So he starts walking to Katie, and Katie eventually she gets up she climbs the diving board.
Yep.
And she's up there, and she's stuck. She's got nowhere to go because below her is a frozen pool full of CHUD,
which are slowly starting to unthaw.
Right, that are starting to unthaw because of their evolution and they're changing the atoms in their body. What the fuck ever. So while she's stuck up there, Bud is like, I love you. I want to be with you forever.
Yeah, because he gives her his heart, literally.
Please love me. Yes, and then he reaches up, which is kind of brutal, right? He doesn't go straight through he doesn't go straight through the chest. He goes up underneath the rib cage, past all his other organs to pull his heart out.
And says please in a normal voice.
Yes.
In Garrett Grant's actual voice.
And then they freeze him with a fire extinguisher.
No, they freeze him with the freeze gun that they had.
Okay. For some reason, I thought it was a fire extinguisher.
Nope, it's not.
Okay.
That's just what the freeze guns kind of look like when they spray the thing.
Okay. I'm sure it had something to do with a fire extinguisher.
It
Like I'm
doesn't.
sure the prop was.
Oh, you mean probably.
Yeah. So they freeze him while he's up there. She escapes. She escapes
She
past
walks
him.
past him. Yep. Then they smash they basically put the electricity through everything. The electricity goes to him. Blows up his body. He falls, and his head's the only thing that's left.
His head's the only thing that's left, and
Steve
while that's
smashes it.
happening, all the chuds in the pool, all the light, the circles of light, the beams of light are shooting out of them. And then Steve takes an axe or something and smashes Bud's head.
Yes.
And then that is
not the end.
That's the end. Credits roll.
No, that's not.
Are you sure? Okay. So let's talk about this ending. Nobody has seen Steve. It's like the next day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to assume it's the next day. I don't think we got a caption that told us where we were.
It kind of just, it's like right. The whole thing, the government comes late, they clean up the bodies, all that stuff, like, you usually see in the end of horror movies.
Right. So Katie and Kevin are in the car. They're in a car just sitting there parked.
Mm-hmm.
And they're talking about what they're going to do. And nobody has seen Steve.
He gives them a letter.
Right. Kevin has basically lost his glasses.
Yeah, he doesn't wear them now.
So he's boyfriend material now.
Yes.
Girls don't make passes at boys that wear glasses. And, it's Katie and Kevin now. Finally, Steve is out of the way, and Kevin and Katie, they can fucking roll.
Actually, even though the fact they said they would both miss him because how much he mattered in their life for whatever reason, I don't know why.
Did he?
He seemed to be the fuck up, if you ask me. So.
If I had a friend like Steve, I would be glad to be rid of him.
Mommy, come here, stop whining.
Because I don't know what he has provided for the whole thing. He couldn't get the canisters unscrewed. He couldn't unlock the fucking door. He's the reason the CHUD got out in the first place. He's the reason the CHUD got brought back to life in the first place. He's the reason why they had to stay after school in the first. He's the problem the whole fucking time.
Yes, he is.
So fuck Steve. But we're not done with Steve.
Nope.
So he gets a letter, and I don't know what they do. They drive off, maybe.
Yep.
They go somewhere, and then
it cuts to Steve.
Limping with sunglasses on, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And he is hitchhiking.
Mm-hmm. With the poodle. The poodle's with him.
With the poodle, and a car pulls up.
The truck.
I think it's a truck. Yeah, it's a pickup truck. It might be the same yellow pickup truck that they were driving.
It was orange.
Place. Okay, so it's a different truck.
Yes, but it's the same kind of style, but it's a different truck.
Same style, okay.
And who's in the back of that truck, Jenova? Because the poodle goes there.
Colonel Masters is back there.
Mm-hmm.
The poodle sees him and growls at him, but doesn't attack him. And we were unsure about this because Colonel Masters says, "Shh, I'm undercover.
I'm deep undercover," is what he says.
I'm deep undercover. Which now, when I think about that line, I think it means that he is actually a CHUD.
Yes.
And he is not pretending to be a CHUD.
No.
You brought up a good point that said, well, if he's not a CHUD, how come the poodle didn't attack him?
Yeah.
So I think by saying, not just by saying I'm undercover, but by saying I'm deep undercover means he's in deep. Now, he is a CHUD himself.
Yes.
But his brain is still working.
Yeah, he seems to be really normal for a CHUD. So
does Steve.
Yep.
And so does the driver of the truck because she is also a CHUD.
No, she isn't.
Yes, she is.
What?
Yes, the whole thing. She is a CHUD. She pulls her glasses down, and when they laugh and they smile about getting a bite to eat, she is a CHUD.
I didn't see that. I didn't see her have the teeth like they do.
Boy, this is why this ending is so fucking controversial.
I don't remember seeing the teeth, Jenova.
I'm pretty sure she's a CHUD.
I think that's just, I'm pretty sure she isn't. That's why he's laughing.
Really?
I could go back to it right now and go my own stream and look at it. So let me do that as we do this stream.
Hawk says it's the fitness chick, if I remember correctly, but she is a CHUD. I don't think it was the fit.
No,
wasn't the fitness chick a ginger?
No, she was a blonde.
Okay. This
This
chick's
woman
a
is,
brunette.
yes.
Right. All thoughts equals chud, says Wandering Lens. Uh, you're acting like a cannibalistic humanoid underground dweller, mate.
Oh god,
You're acting like a white one, mate.
give me
You're
a
acting like a
second.
white chud,
I'm
mate.
getting there.
Why don't you just pull up chud and skip to the end?
No, I'm doing it on my own stream.
Oh yeah, so you get a couple extra views.
You know me. It's all about the views. Let me
um,
see.
I mean the quality on it. I mean it's a straight VHS rip. So I mean maybe the quality makes it look like she's a chud, but I was pretty sure with the banter back and forth and the way they're flirting, she knows that he's a chud. That's what I got from it. She
Let
knows
me
he's
look
a
at.
chud.
I'm looking
She
at it. I'm listening to myself talk too.
and that's the ending of Chud.
Yep. Okay. He says I'm. She doesn't say I'm deep undercover. He just says I'm undercover.
Oh, okay. Well, then he's not a Chud.
No, he is.
Oh my God.
He's got the teeth, Jenova. He has to be.
You telling me? Okay. All right.
He
All
takes
right.
his glasses off. Oh wait, yeah. Actually, yes, she does have the teeth.
Yeah, that's why they're
Okay.
talking about getting a bite to eat.
Okay, so that's why he smiles like that. Okay, I thought he meant he was gonna eat
Yeah.
her. Oh no, they're both chuds. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all three of them are Chuds.
Yes.
Colonel
Actually,
Masters is a Chud. Steve is a Chud, and the lady that picks him up is a Chud.
yes. Actually, all four of them. The poodles with them
The
too.
poodle as well. Yes.
So
Told
they're
you,
all
said
chuds.
Hawk. You were right, Hawk.
Look, I couldn't
100.
tell the video quality was shitty when I was watching it too.
The video quality was shitty. It was the banter between them that really sold
I
it
didn't
that
notice
she
the
was a
teeth.
chud for me.
Fights in the teeth, yeah.
And then credits roll.
Yes.
And then the credits continue to roll. They end, and then Bud's head shows up and says goodnight.
Yes, he does. I think that's an homage to something, but I don't know what it is.
I
So, which film do you like more now, Jenova?
oh my god. I don't know.
Joe Bob Briggs, by the way, says Chud 2 is the most unwatchable horror movies ever made.
Even over Chud.
Yes.
So he likes Chud more than he likes Chud 2.
He blames Chud for Chud 2 being made.
That's good. That's good. I never looked at it like that. I blame Chud. Without Chud, we wouldn't have Chud 2.
That's a good point.
It's really good. I mean, he's not wrong. The movie is just, it's so bad.
Mm-hmm.
The comedy doesn't really land.
Mm-mm.
Like we were saying, there's some good jokes, but they're bogged down by all the crap.
Yep. Well, all the shitty jokes that don't do anything.
The actors, I mean, the best person is Garrett Graham.
Mm-hmm. And
I would say,
Jack and Vaughn is pretty good.
yeah. Vaughn, I mean, he's all right.
Vaughn is good.
You can tell he's like, all right, what is this movie? Why am I doing that? I just give me my paycheck. But I mean, it's Robert Vaughn, so he's almost like one of those guys where he doesn't even really have to try, and he puts out at least a decent performance, But I mean, Garrett's my favorite, definitely. But
I wonder if we'll be seeing any more of him in the future.
what is it?
I said, I wonder if we'll be seeing any more of Garrett Grant in the future.
Ooh.
Garrett Graham, excuse me.
I have a feeling that we will be seeing more of Garrett Graham in the future. I just get this feeling something's coming, and it's got Garrett Graham in it, and we will be featuring it.
It's gonna be a Chud night.
So I mean, I guess you guys are right. I guess Chud over Chud 2.
Yeah.
The music is better in Chud. I mean, you get more people that are giving you better performances in the first Chud than you do in the second one.
Went flat as well.
What?
I said, even though the performances for a lot of people are very flat in the first one.
Very true. Very true. Like there's no comedy in the first one.
No. It's completely serious all the time.
Yeah, the whole time it's completely. They play it straight the whole fucking time.
Mm.
So what do you give Chud 2? Like, what's your rating out of 10?
My rating out of 10 for Chud 2 is a.
Who did Larry Linville play?
I don't know. I give it a 2.5
A
out of 10.
2.5.
Yeah.
Um,
Again, it's really maybe I give it a 3. Be generous.
I think I got to go with the. I think I got to go with the 2.5 on that. Cindy, Larry Linville played Dr. Jewel. I don't know who the fuck that is in the movie, by the way.
I think it's the guy who talks about being a plague.
Okay. Yes. I think that makes sense. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go with a 2.5 out of 10.
So do you think either of these films deserve to be called quote unquote cult films?
No, not at all. I can understand sort of where the cult classic of Chud comes from, if in that time frame.
Mm-hmm.
And I can understand people like because now you get like fan art and of course the poster at the time. I could see that being a big thing in the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
but when eventually you start to get movies like The Thing, and other 80s gems that I can't think
The
of at the
stuff.
fucking moment. Yeah, the stuff and shit like that.
Cue the winged serpent.
It pales in comparison to what you really do get in the 80s. It for what the 80s were for horror films, Chud is such a disappointment of what it could have been.
Yeah.
And it could have been one of those films that we talk about because of the practical effects. And instead it's not. It's a boring mess is what Chud is. And Chud 2 is even worse.
Yes.
It's boring, it's a mess.
It's not funny.
Yes, and that's the thing I was going to say. See, at least in the first Chud, they don't go with the comedy because there's nothing worse than a comedy that's not funny.
Oh, I think you should mention this fact as well, Jenova. How many cuts are there of Chud 2?
There are 3 cuts of Chud 2. There is a cut that emphasizes the comedy,
which is this
one. There is a cut that emphasizes the horror, which I don't think ever made it out of the editing room.
No.
They probably, that if it did, there's one of them and it was buried with the guy who made it. So, and then there is a third cut that was made for television.
Which is also how some of this seems because of what they cut out.
Right. And when you're watching the VHS rip that we watch today, it really does seem like a lot of the kills are cut for television. It does seem like a television cut. The comedy television cut is what we got, but that's not what it is. That's just the film.
Yes.
So I can't imagine what they would cut for television. That movie must just be a bunch of people in pale makeup walking around. That's got to be what that movie is for television. Because if you had to cut and it's rated R as well.
So it's the first Chud too, which does not have that much.
So we get nothing.
Yeah.
You get nothing. Good day, sir.
I mean, all you get in both films is one's a decapitation of that Chud, and the other one is an impalement. So,
Sweet says it's a character-driven masterpiece that should have gotten an Oscar.
Yeah, that's
those rich character stories.
That's what John Hurd probably wants to believe because he wants another Oscar for his shit.
Yeah, I'm sure he
did. Sorry, he's dead.
Did. Daniel Stern should have got an Oscar if anybody got an Oscar.
Well, maybe if he makes the musical, he'll get an Oscar.
He should make the musical, I would say. Does it deserve a cult following? No. But now that it's got one, and I mean you're part of it, and he was very committed to that role. I think he likes that movie, or at least likes his role in that film.
Yeah.
I think he's proud of what he did. I think he should be proud of what he did because for me, he makes that movie.
Me too.
So I think he sort of has a right to do a Chud musical, and it will probably have better practical effects than both movies.
Yeah.
Because now the shit that you can do, even on a stage, the shit you can do with practical effects now is amazing. So I don't know if you. This is off topic, but I don't know if you ever saw Penn Teller from Penn and Teller. He did his own. He did a production of Macbeth, and he brought in all of like the magic props and stuff to do the stage effects and everything like that. And it's fucking amazing. It's a great fucking show.
I never saw it. No.
Then
Again, that's probably because I just don't care for Penn and Teller that much.
Oh, that's fine. You can be a fucking loser. Fine, whatever, dude. Penn and Teller are the greatest, bro.
Says a guy that in Penn and Teller is one of the like most liberal dudes you'll ever hear.
Well, he's more libertarian.
Which makes it retarded.
I mean, they got to him now. I mean, you should hear some of the shit he says on Think Progress. He's kind of fucking gay now. He's like a vegan and shit.
Yeah.
But before he used to be real cool.
Libertarians can't be cool, Jenova.
Yeah, that's kind of true. So yeah, Chud and Chud 2, not very good.
No.
I thought when we were watching, I was like, all right, I remember Chud. Chud's got the mutants at the bottom. There's probably some shit I'm forgetting. It's going to be great.
Nope. You didn't forget nothing.
Nope, I didn't forget anything. It was what I thought it was, which was trash. Not even good trash either.
This is the bottom of the barrel of the 80s.
This is
I'll say that.
really, you're not fucking wrong. That's a great way to put it. It is the bottom of the barrel of the 80s. Not good. No. Not good. Libertarians get lined up against the wall in round 3, says Groom. Chud, my name is Mud. Did you see the spa bath Penn made though? Are you talking about the jet? Hey fuckers, says Huck. Hey Huck, cool it. Cool. Oh, sorry, Huck. Sweets, are you talking about the jet that Penn made? Okay, so Penn made a jet for spas that they give women orgasms. You can like flip it. They're instead of for men where you can put your dick in it, they're made for women to get off.
That sounds like something some Atheism Plus dude would do because he wants to get cucked by a pen.
I mean, maybe. Who knows?
I can't satisfy my woman. I better get her a pen.
Better get her a jet. Better get her a fucking a jet that. Well, I don't know why I don't know why guys would stick their dick in there anyway. It's gonna get pulled off. That's what's gonna happen. It's gonna swell up.
Oh God.
But it's 12, and yes, we have rotted our brains talking about Chud. Guys, I hope that you're okay after this stream. Hearing about these terrible films. God help you if you watched Chud 2 with us earlier today on Gene's channel. Because fuck. I don't know where to go. I feel like...
Well, there is only one where to go. It's called the Underground, where there's a nice chemical plant I'm sure you'd feel really right at home at with your black lungs.
Turn me into the black lung Chud. I'm more like Tarman than I am a Chud. But I guess we will.
Yeah, we'll land this plane.
Crash it. Like it.
Crash it into the underground.
Crash it into a fucking chemical plant because that's where it fucking deserves to go.
So I will do my usual thing with my 5% here. I rub my hands a little bit.
Go ahead. Shill your heart out.
So tomorrow will be Bannerants and it will be the Artism stream. As long as Esau doesn't, die or something horribly.
Fingers crossed.
And for Friday here on the Heretic channel, we will be talking about Stallone movies.
Stallone.
for cut and print.
Yes, it'll be similar to the Arnold stream, except I can't do a Stallone accent.
No.
So I
Hey,
will.
Adrian, what's going on here? I don't understand.
What are you doing, Sylvester? Sylvester.
I hate you, Arnold. You made me do that
No,
stupid film.
Sylvester. No, didn't you like Mom? Stop or my mom will shoot.
No, I don't like that, Arnold.
It'll be me. What it'll be is it'll be me doing Stallone quotes as Arnold.
Oh God.
That's what it'll be. Oh, what's the story? Hey, hey, Adrian.
How dare you talk about my work that way, Arnold? I don't much appreciate that. I'm gonna have my mom shoot you.
Get up, Rock. I don't know. I can't think of any Stallone quotes. I know there's a shit ton of them out there. Stallone accent practice now. It's gonna have to be Gene. He's closer than I am because hey Adrian, give me a brisk tea. That's terrible.
That was
It was
awful.
awful. Holy shit! I could hear it as it was coming out of my mouth.
How can you not do Stallone's accent? You're Italian, so's he.
I don't know. I don't think I've ever practiced the Stallone accent. I never even really practiced the Arnold accent. It's just when me and Snake start making fun of Arnold, we're both sitting there going all the time. So
Okay.
you're the guinea Mick. You better be doing it. Yeah, I know. Yo, Adrian.
Yo, Adrian.
I'll be on your ass about it. Well, you're going to be practicing now. I'll see what I can come up with, but I don't know if I'll be able to do it. I don't know. It'll be Gene doing his Stallone accent and me doing Arnold, and I'll just Stallone, what are you doing? Are you making Expendables 4 and Rambo 5?
I got nothing else, Arnold. It's just my life now. My brother.
Give me part in Rambo 5.
No,
I will play Rambo. I will be Rambo.
No, it's my role. You
play my sidekick. No, I am Rambo. I play Batman. So yeah, it's gonna be we'll be talking Stallone movies. I don't know what you'll be talking about, Gene, but I will be most definitely 100% we'll be talking about Cobra.
I mean, obviously that's what I'm talking about too. Why not Cobra?
I love Cobra, and I'll probably also bring up Assassins. Have you ever seen that movie?
I don't know if I have. It's been a long time.
It's got
I know what I'll talk about. I'll talk about Judge Dredd, the best Stallone movie.
Oh, Judge Dredd! Yes! Oh, I can't wait. Oh, okay. All right. Judge Dredd.
Okay, yeah.
Judge Dredd, Cobra, Demolition Man. Oh,
yep.
Fuck. Oh, fuck. I can't wait for the Stallone stream. Stallone doesn't have any good one-liners. Cobra is okay, sister. What? Banned.
I'm saying Cobra is only okay. Oof. Sorry, I don't agree with you on that one.
Cobra has best movie cult. Tango and Cash. Oh, that's right. And Tango and Cash got Kurt Russell in it too.
Doesn't Tango and Cash also have Gary Busey?
Maybe. I know it's got Brian James on it. In it. Brian, whatever his name.
It's okay. We'll know all this shit later. I'm not gonna watch any films, so I'll know all this shit so I can talk about it.
Anybody want to get high? It says talk. It's in quotes, so that's got to be a. I would love to get high.
I mean, obviously, you could just quote. You could quote Saturday Night Fever and Staying Alive, since he directed those movies and they're supposed to be based on his life.
Don't talk about those movies.
I'm going to now.
Oh my God, no! Don't do it. Get to the chopper. Says all Hawk says, get to the chopper. Do it now. Kill me. I'm right here. Kill me now. Do it.
When we're supposed to be landing this plane.
But you do that quote, but you do it in Stallone.
Get to the chopper. Get to the chopper. Don't kill me. Kill me now.
We have fun here.
This is fun. We have fun here.
They have to be spoken about, says Sweets. What?
They do. They're about his life. That's supposed to be him. Travolta's playing him in the films.
Is his name Sylvester in the film?
No, it's just based on his life, though.
I've never heard that before
You've never heard that?
until you brought it up to me like a couple weeks ago. You were like, those movies are based on Stallone's life, right? And I was like,
Yeah.
I never heard that before.
Yeah, that's because he was like a dancer before he did all that stuff with acting.
Oh, okay, all right. That's fine. I guess we'll have to talk about them.
We could also talk about his porno films too.
Oh, I thought Frank did the porn.
Nope, that is Sylvester.
Well, Frank definitely did porn himself.
I'm sure he probably did.
Sylvester Stallone did porn?
The Italian Stallion, man.
Okay, all right. I guess we'll talk about his porn films then too. It also means he allowed his friends to rape a chick. Whoa.
Yep.
All right, I guess. Hi, Stretch. You're actually here kind of late, brah. We're getting ready to end. So, but I will add you as a moderator because I don't want people getting timed out or anything. Alrighty, says Cindy. Yes, he did. No, let's not. Get to the chopper, nigga. Says John. Okay, we're ending the fucking plane. We're crashing this bitch. It's a long fall. So
it's a long fall
yeah.
because the chuds are waiting for us down there, and they're not looking too happy.
Yeah, it's okay, Stretch. Don't worry about it. We usually do Monday, Wednesday, Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern. If you're ever around for the next one, but
Yes.
You can always go back and listen to it if you'd like to. Yes, no problem, Huck. We appreciate everybody coming out tonight and giving us their input and listening to us have to fucking struggle through talking about CHUD.
This was
CHUD
one of the
2.
roughest streams we've ever done. I'll say that to you and the chat now.
Just watching the movies was so rough.
I'm glad I watched the Joe Bob version so I could learn a lot
Yeah,
more.
you were so lucky that you watched the Joe Bob because I was watching it the second time and I just went, "This is gonna be a rough stream tonight. This is gonna be so rough." But this ain't no Butterland, and you're about to eat shit. You're right. We're about to crash and burn. But yes, thanks everybody for coming out.
Take care, chat.
Yeah. Anything else? You got shill tomorrow? Banter rants.
Yeah, I already showed all that stuff.
Tomorrow, banter rants. Friday, we're back with Stallone.
Yep.
We're cut and print.
And next Monday we will be talking about werewolves as well.
Yes, next Monday we'll be talking about werewolf movies. That's correct. So thank you guys again for all the input. I'll see you guys later.
Peace.
Bye.